Chapter 424. Facing Yi Xing alone, Yang Ba thought that everything was under his control. However, he didn't know that Yi Xing had already seen him as a dead man and wanted to devour his heaven's will. 4-star yellow fate trash? Yang Ba was instantly enraged. 4-star yellow fate, as long as one had a technique inheritance, they were destined to reach the 4th level of the astral realm and become a mid-level enlightened being. Even in the northern part of the Qingyun region, a 4-star yellow fate was a rare first-rate heaven's will that was envied by thousands of martial artists. However, in Yi Xing's mouth, Yang Ba's 4-star yellow fate was trash. How could Yang Ba not be angry? Yang Ba snorted and said, "My 4-star yellow fate is a trash heaven's will. How high can yours be?" Heaven's will was closely related to one's bloodline. The stronger the descendant, the higher the heaven's will. The descendant of an honorable was at least a peak enlightened being with a high chance of reaching the honorable realm. On the other hand, the descendant of a martial saint could only reach the martial saint fate, not the enlightened being. Yi Xing was a martial artist from the southern part of the Qingyun region, and the highest heaven's will in the history of the southern part of the Qingyun region was only a 4-star yellow fate, similar to Yang Ba. Yang Ba didn't believe that Yi Xing's heaven's will would surpass his. Therefore, even though Yi Xing had broken through to the enlightened being at such a young age, Yang Ba didn't have the right to mock his heaven's will as trash. This was because once Yi Xing's cultivation reached the limit of heaven's will, his cultivation speed would immediately slow down. His final achievement wouldn't be much higher than the limit of heaven's will. However, as soon as Yang Ba said this, before Yi Xing could reply, his expression froze, revealing a look of surprise. Yi Xing actually knew that he was a 4-star yellow fate, but he didn't know what heaven's will was for Yi Xing. Could it be that this brat can see the heaven's will of others? That's impossible. Yang Ba thought to himself. He couldn't believe this fact. He should have known about my heaven's will long ago. Yi Xing's expression was cold as he chuckled. My heaven's will is not high. In fact, it's very low. I was only a 2-star red will. 2-star red life? Hearing this, Yang Ba didn't laugh at Yi Xing. Instead, he was shocked. For Yi Xing to become a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm at the age of 18, in Yang Ba's opinion, Yi Xing's heaven's fate should be at least 3 stars or even 4 stars. A 2-star crimson life was too trashy. Based on talent, he could only cultivate to the 2nd level of the star-tempering realm. Even among the most ordinary cultivators, he would be at the bottom. Although it was difficult to go against the will of the heavens, once a martial artist's cultivation reached the limit of the heavens, any further breakthroughs would be going against the will of the heavens. However, the heavens had the virtue of cherishing life. Everything had a thread of leeway. Although the heavens would restrict a cultivator's cultivation, it would not completely restrict them to death. If one was diligent enough and had great perseverance, one could still continue to make breakthroughs. Especially if one was lucky enough to obtain some peerless treasures, one could easily break through one's limits and take another step forward on the path of martial arts. In Yang Ba's opinion, it wasn't strange for a 2-star crimson life to cultivate to the 4th, 5th, or even 6th level. He had seen a 2-star yellow life martial artist become a 6-star Taoist being because of a great opportunity and great fortune. However, there was a limit to going against the will of the heavens and breaking through one's limits. Opportunities and fortune could only be encountered by chance. It was impossible for them to appear all the time. A 2-star crimson life was too far away from a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm. If Yi Xing could cultivate to the astral dipper realm with a 2-star crimson life talent because of his astrology, Yang Ba would be shocked. However, he would at least believe it a little. As for a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm, Yang Ba would never believe it. Yang Ba stared coldly at Yi Xing and said, "Kid, are you joking? A 2-star crimson life martial artist who became a Taoist being at the astral dipper realm at the age of 18? That's impossible." With that, Yang Ba chuckled and continued, "However, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether your heavenly fate is high or low. It will be buried with you. It doesn't matter at all." Yang Ba's body emitted a scorching aura. It was as if there were flames burning in his body. His body turned red and emitted a faint fiery glow. He raised his hand and an upper-grade spiritual saber appeared in his hand. The saber shone brightly and burned with a layer of flames. Yang Ba's gaze was like a sword and his killing intent soared. The blazing flame gloves instantly appeared on Yi Xing's hands. Facing Yang Ba's oppressive aura, his expression was normal. Yi Xing smiled and said, "Are you stupid or an idiot? Since I knew you were following me, I didn't come to the Falling Star sect. Instead, I came here. Why do you think I'll be the one to die? I purposely led you here. Don't tell me I can't kill you?" Yang Ba's expression froze. His violent aura calmed down. After thinking about it carefully, this was indeed a possibility. However, Yang Ba was very confident in his strength. Although he was inferior to the sect master of the Tianluo sect, his strength was in the upper tier among the 5 celestial enlightened masters. Yi Xing had just broken through to the astral realm 2 months ago. Yang Ba was only wary of the Tiangang sect behind Yi Xing. He didn't put Yi Xing in his eyes. After a slight hesitation, he disappeared in the blink of an eye. Yang Ba's aura surged again, and his killing intent locked onto Yi Xing. Yang Ba sneered and said, "You want to kill me? Ha! You don't have any helpers now. What right do you have to kill me?" Yi Xing's aura instantly erupted. He released the cultivation of a 2 celestial enlightened master. However, the terrifying aura he released was not weaker than a 2 celestial enlightened master. Yang Ba raised his eyebrows and his heart skipped a beat. 2 months ago, Yi Xing had broken through to the astral realm at the Young Hero competition. Now, he had broken through to the 2nd stage of the astral realm. The speed was too fast. Yi Xing's aura erupted. His black hair fluttered in the wind, revealing a terrifying aura that could sweep through heaven and earth. His eyes locked onto Yang Ba and he said, "Let me tell you a secret. Although my destiny was only a 2 celestial red destiny, I can devour other people's destiny for my own use. Your 4 celestial yellow destiny might be trash, but I can only make do with it." Devour destiny? Yang Ba was shocked. How could there be such a heaven-defying ability? Boom. While Yang Ba was still in shock, Yi Xing used the flaming dipper fist and threw a punch at him. Yi Xing's physical strength was not weaker than a 4 celestial enlightened master. Coupled with the flaming dipper fist at the greater mastery stage, the power was terrifying. Even a 5 celestial enlightened master like Yang Ba was shocked. He immediately recovered from the shock of learning that he could devour destiny. Explosive Flame Saber Technique. Yang Ba's explosive flame saber technique was also at the greater mastery stage. Moreover, his cultivation was extremely high. When he swung his saber, flames shot out and the power was shocking. Boom! The flaming dipper fist and the flaming dipper saber collided. The shock wave was monstrous, and the sound was deafening. Amidst the explosion, Yi Xing's body shook slightly. However, he did not retreat half a step. His strong physical body allowed him to withstand the impact of the powerful force. Yang Ba's body shook slightly as well. His eyes were filled with shock again. Yi Xing was only a 2 celestial enlightened master, but he was able to unleash strength that was on par with him. This was unbelievable. Explosive Flame Slash. Yang Ba shouted and immediately used his ultimate move. The power was multiplied as he continued to swing his saber at Yi Xing, Tiger Roar and Dragon Roar. Yi Xing relied on his strong physical body to counter Yang Ba's attack. He also used his ultimate move. Their attacks collided again. The shockwave was like a tidal wave that rushed in all directions. Sand and stones flew everywhere. Trees were blown away. A layer of the earth was shaved off by the violent energy. This time, Yi Xing only took a step back. He was slightly at a disadvantage. However, his strong physical body was able to withstand the impact of his opponent's strength. He was unharmed. On the other hand, although Yang Ba had suppressed Yi Xing with his saber, he took a deep breath. He did not seem to be in a good condition. Yang Ba immediately used his astrology. Superior astrology, Earth Fire Star. Yi Xing also used the fire astrology. It was one of the top advanced astrology. It was not weak. Boom, 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 boom. With the help of the fire astrology, Yi Xing became more and more courageous as he fought. He turned around the slight disadvantage and was almost on par with Yang Ba. Originally, Yi Xing's strength was far from Yang Ba's. However, his strong physical body made up for this shortcoming. Moreover, with Yi Xing's super brain scanning, he could always predict the opponent's moves. Although Yang Ba was a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master, he did not have the upper hand when fighting with Yi Xing, who was a 2 Celestial Enlightened Master. Fist auras danced in the air and saber auras crisscrossed. They kept colliding with each other, making explosive sounds. The speed was so fast that it was endless. Yi Xing and Yang Ba soon exchanged 50 moves. Yang Ba's face was full of anger. It was a disgrace to fight a 2 Celestial Enlightened Master to a draw. After 50 moves, Yang Ba suddenly roared, "Your strength is indeed beyond my expectation. It has shocked me. However, you still have to die." Along with Yang Ba's voice, a terrifying aura suddenly appeared. Yi Xing was stunned. A ray of dark starlight flew out. Yi Xing decisively used the black hole astrology. Darkness instantly shrouded the surroundings. At the same time, Yi Xing used the momentum of wind, the heavenly bat steps, and the azure cloud wings. He used all the methods that could increase his speed and shot to the side. Two shadows flashed across the void in the darkness. Then, there was an earth-shattering explosion. The place where Yi Xing was standing just now had a turbulent airwave. A hole with a radius of 100 meters was blasted open in the ground. The explosive energy was like a sharp blade that cut in all directions. It shrouded a radius of a few miles and crushed everything into pieces. It was a forbidden weapon. It was a forbidden weapon that could kill a mid-level enlightened master. Even a 6 Celestial Enlightened Master would not be able to withstand it. If they were to fight it head-on, they would be severely injured. A 4 Celestial Enlightened Master and a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master would definitely be killed instantly. Unfortunately, Yang Ba had underestimated Yi Xing's reaction and speed. He had also underestimated Yi Xing's speed. Suddenly, the surroundings were pitch black. Yang Ba was shocked. However, at the same time, he was also delighted. He should be blown to pieces now, Yang Ba thought to himself. He did not see Yi Xing dodging in the dark world. At this moment, a dazzling white light suddenly shot from afar. Sunfire Spear Art, Sun Chaser. Looking for a guaranteed ticket in June. Chapter 425. This spear shot out like a beam of sunlight. Its speed was so fast that it was hard to react. Even though Yang Ba was a 5-star true master, he was still shocked. That dazzling white light contained a scorching and terrifying aura, causing his hairs to stand on end as he felt a deep sense of impending death. Exploding flame cut. Yang Ba shouted out loud and immediately used the exploding flame saber art's peerless killing move. His strength erupted to the limit as he ruthlessly chopped down at the dazzling white light. However, compared to the speed of Yi Xing's spear, Yang Ba's exploding flame cut was far too slow. The terrifying astral saber had just condensed when the black dragon spear brought with it the terrifying power of flames, ruthlessly piercing through. The astral saber collapsed, splashing everywhere. The black dragon spear's momentum didn't decrease. It shot forwards. The spear point flashed like a beam of light, instantly piercing into Yang Ba's throat. It entered from the front and exited from the back. Puff! Yi Xing instantly withdrew his spear and drew back. An arrow of blood shot out from Yang Ba's throat. Yang Ba covered his throat with both hands, unable to stop the blood from gushing out. He opened his mouth but no words came out. His eyes were filled with panic and unwillingness. After experiencing Yi Xing's terrifying combat strength, Yang Ba already understood that the East supporting sect's destruction wasn't because the Big Dipper sect had helped them from behind, but because Yi Xing had such strength himself. Now, Yi Xing could even kill a 5-star true master. Yang Ba had a premonition that the Sun Moon sect's calamity wasn't far off. In just several breaths of time, Yang Ba collapsed to the ground. His eyes were wide open as he died, unable to rest in peace. Yi Xing arrived beside Yang Ba. His gaze locked onto the destiny flame in Yang Ba's mind. This was a yellow flame with 4 clusters of flames. Destiny Swallow. In the skies above, the black hole rapidly spun. The destiny flame in Yang Ba's mind was soon extinguished. But the destiny flame in Yi Xing's mind grew another cluster of flames, rising to a 4-star yellow fate. Yi Xing's cultivation was about to reach the limit of heaven's mandate, so an increase of 1 star could be considered a relief. However, a mere 4-star heaven's mandate wasn't a long-term solution. With Yi Xing's cultivation speed, it wouldn't take long for him to reach the limit of the heaven's mandate. Once the disciples of the Falling Star sect settle down, I'll have to go out and train. That way, I'll have a chance to encounter a higher level of heaven's will. Yi Xing thought to himself. With a wave of his hand, the star fire flew out and burned Yang Ba's body to ashes. Yi Xing had set up alarm formations dozens of miles away from the basin. If someone came, Yi Xing would know when they were dozens of miles away from the basin. To train in archery, Yi Xing had to use the Sagittarius constellation. Under the Sagittarius constellation's star power, the results would be twice the result with half the effort. The Sagittarius constellation wasn't a physical object, but an illusory aura. When it reached a certain distance, it couldn't be sensed or seen. Yi Xing had set up alarm formations dozens of miles away, so he could boldly use the Sagittarius constellation without worrying about being seen by others. If a cultivator came and couldn't sense the Sagittarius constellation's star power, they would be discovered by Yi Xing first. Regardless of whether it was Yi Xing's heart's 4 transformations, attainments in archery, the star power of the Sagittarius constellation, or the power of fire from the minute subtlety realm, they were all beneficial to the cultivation of the blazing arrow art, resulting in twice the results with half the effort. Therefore, Yi Xing's attainments in the blazing arrow art had increased by leaps and bounds. In just 2 days, Yi Xing's blazing arrow art had reached the minor completion stage. Yi Xing was overjoyed. It seemed that it wouldn't be long before he could cultivate the blazing arrow art to the great completion stage. With the help of the fire aura, its power would be even stronger than the 4 symbols arrow art at the perfection stage. The place where Yi Xing practiced archery was nearly 100 miles away from the Falling Star sect. At this moment, Yi Xing didn't know that there were a few uninvited guests outside the Falling Star sect. 4 black-robed cultivators were hiding in the shadows outside the Falling Star sect's formation, observing. The 4 of them had high cultivation. The leader was a 5-star sage, and the other 3 were 4-star sage. There were very few 4-star sage in the southern part of the Qingyun region. Obviously, these 4 people had come to the Falling Star sect for some purpose. There were 7 blood-red swords tattooed on the sleeves of the 4 black-robed cultivators. No one in the Qingyun region knew what these 7 blood-red swords meant. Even most of the true Xian domain's martial artists didn't understand. But if the important figures of the 9 upper sects saw it, they would be shocked. They knew the meaning of the 7 blood-red swords. Each blood-red sword represented slaughter. The 7 swords meant 7 kills. They represented a top 1-star force in the Qingyu region, the 7 Kill Alliance. The 7 Kill Alliance was not a sect, but an assassin organization. But it was enough to make all the 1-star sects tremble in fear. The Qingyu region was one of the 36 upper regions in the East Divine Continent. It was ruled by the Qingyu Empire, a 2-star force. There were many 1-star forces in the Qingyu region. Some of them were not weaker than the 9 upper sects of the true Xian domain. Some were even stronger. But they were all subjects of the Qingyu Empire and obeyed the orders of the Qingyu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was an assassin organization. It hid in the dark. Unlike the sects on the surface, they didn't listen to the orders of the Qingyu Empire. Moreover, the 7 Kill Alliance dared to assassinate the imperial family of the Qingyu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was the target of the Qingyu Empire. The 7 Kill Alliance was always in danger of being eradicated by the imperial family of the Qingyu Empire. But it still existed in the territory of the Qingyu Empire and developed for more than 1,000 years. From this, it could be seen that the 7 Kill Alliance was indeed extraordinary. Although the true Xian domain was close to the Qingyu region, the area of a region was too vast. The 7 Kill Alliance's sphere of influence had always been in the Qingyu region. They rarely did business outside the Qingyu region. But when there was business, the 7-kill alliance naturally wouldn't reject it. The reward for assassinating a target outside the Qingyu region would be higher. It would be 2 to 3 times the normal price. Yi Xing had broken through to the astral realm during the Young Hero Assembly. He was a 1-star sage, but his strength was almost invincible among the 3-star sages. He could be considered a 3-star sage. Young geniuses had amazing potential. When the 7-kill alliance wanted to assassinate young geniuses with great potential, they would raise the price by 1 level. In other words, Yi Xing had the strength of a 3-star sage, but the 7-kill alliance treated him as a 4-star sage and wanted to assassinate him as a 4-star sage. The true Xian domain was very far from the Green Feather region. The Green Cloud region where Yi Xing was located was a remote region of the true Xian domain. It was even further away from the true Xian domain. The 7-kill alliance accepted Shi Daoyan's assassination mission at 3 times the price of assassinating a 4-star venerable. Because the distance was too far, the assassin sent out didn't have any backup. Therefore, the 7-kill alliance raised the price of the assassination by another level. According to the standard of assassinating a 5-star sage, they sent out 1 5-star sage and 3 4-star sage to assassinate Yi Xing outside Thane, a hidden place. A 4-star sage assassin said, "He's just a martial artist from an inferior 1-star sect. We'll forcefully break through the array, find Yi Xing, kill him, and then leave." The 5-star sage assassin stared coldly at the 4-star sage and said, "You idiot! I've told you to study array formations. It seems like you didn't study it at all. The array formation in front of us is a level 3 array formation with initial success. If you want to forcefully break through it, you're simply courting death. Even a 6-star sage wouldn't be able to break through it. An inferior 1-star sect actually has a level 3 array master." The 4-star sage who spoke earlier said in surprise, "Then what should we do? Are we supposed to wait outside and see when Yi Xing comes out?" A 4-star sage beside him said, "If Yi Xing doesn't come out, are we supposed to keep waiting? Moreover, it's still unknown whether Yi Xing is in the sect or not. If we blindly wait here, we'll be too lucky. Our mission is to kill Yi Xing. We can't fail. We're not here to try our luck." The last 4-star sage said, "If we knew that the defensive array of this inferior 1-star sect was a level 3 array formation with initial success, we would have sent a level 3 array master. Now, we're in a difficult situation." The 5-star sage said, "Let's investigate this sect first." The 4 of them left in the shadows. They came and went without a trace. The situation of the Falling Star sect was easy to investigate. The 4 7-kill alliance assassins soon found out that the Falling Star sect had been annihilated a few months ago. Then, there was a stronghold in the Star Crystal Mine of the Azure Cloud Mountain. A sect stronghold will definitely not be protected by a minor success level 3 formation like a sect. Why don't we attack that stronghold and lure the snake out of its hole? Once Yi Xing is there, we can kill him. A 4-star sage suggested. The 5-star sage nodded in agreement. "Okay, we'll go there and you'll attack. The 3 of us will hide in the dark in case Yi Xing sees that we outnumber him and becomes timid and doesn't dare to show up." A pair of black wings appeared behind each of the 4 sages. It was a middle-grade flying spirit tool. They flew toward the Azure Cloud Mountain at the speed of light. At noon, Yi Xing, who was practicing the fiery arrow art, suddenly received a message from Gu Tianshang on his communication beat. A 4-star sage was attacking the array formation outside the Star Crystal Mine. Outside the mine, Yi Xing had set up a level 3 array formation with initial success, the Yinyang Golden Light Array. The 4-star sage's attack couldn't break it at all. Yi Xing wasn't worried that something would happen to the mine. However, since a 4-star sage was invading the mine, Yi Xing naturally had to go and check it out. The Azure Cloud wings appeared behind Yi Xing's back. Yi Xing's speed exploded, and he flashed into the sky. In a flash, he was already 10 miles away. Yi Xing's astral energy was cultivated from the black star falling art. It could unleash the speed of the Azure Cloud wings, which was more than twice as fast as a middle-grade flying spirit tool. In just a little over 2 hours, Yi Xing arrived at the Azure Cloud Mountain range, not far from the Star Crystal Mine. When he was dozens of miles away from the mine, Yixing looked into the distance and saw the 4-star sage attacking the array formation. Every time the 4-star sage attacked, a layer of golden light would appear outside the mine. The defensive power was so strong that the 4-star sage's attack couldn't shake it at all. Yixing put away the azure cloud wings and switched to the black-feathered wings. He lowered his altitude and continued forward under the cover of the mountain peak. Chapter 426. Since the 4-star perfected person couldn't break the array formation, Yixing wasn't in a hurry to rush forward. Instead, he slowed down and used the mountain peaks as cover to advance stealthily. The Dongfu sect had been massacred by Yixing, and the 4-star perfected person, Watanabe Xiong, had lost his life. Everyone in the Qingyun region knew about this. Yixing was certain that the 4-star perfected person attacking the Yinyang Golden Light Array wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region. It was very strange that someone who wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region would attack the array formation outside the star crystal mine. What was even stranger was that the 4-star perfected person obviously couldn't break the Yinyang Golden Light Array. Logically speaking, he should have given up long ago. However, it had been more than 2 hours since Yixing had received Gu Tianshang's message and rushed over. The 4-star perfected person was still attacking the Yinyang Golden Light Array. This was too abnormal. Even if the 4-star perfected person had willpower, he shouldn't have used it in this aspect. Yixing didn't think that the 4-star perfected person was an idiot. He definitely had his reasons for doing so. Yixing was certain that the 4-star perfected person's goal wasn't to break the array formation, but for another reason. What would happen if the 4-star perfected person kept attacking the array formation? Yixing's mind was filled with thoughts. Very quickly, he had a flash of inspiration. He thought to himself, the result is me rushing over to the star crystal mine. Could the 4-star perfected person be attacking the array formation of the star crystal mine to lure me over? The more Yixing thought about it, the more he felt that it made sense. Furthermore, Yixing's thoughts changed and he started to speculate about the origins of the 4-star perfected person. Since he wasn't a martial artist from the Qingyun region, where did he come from? Yixing only had 2 sects in the True Xin region that could be considered enemies. One was the Earth Fiend sect, and the other was the Fire Cloud sect. The enmity with the Earth Fiend sect was because Yixing had killed the genius disciple of the Earth Fiend sect, Xianxia, during the Young Hero Assembly. There were 2 reasons for his feud with the Fire Cloud sect. Firstly, there was a conflict between Yixing and the Fire Cloud sect disciples, Shui Yan and Yan Lin. Secondly, there was a conflict between Yixing and the Fire Cloud sect's Yun Tianhao at the White Bone Auction House over Lin Tongyu. This resulted in Yun Tianhao sending 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue Yixing. The 2 4-stars perfected persons that were pursuing Yixing were killed by He Biao. As for Wu Yu, he took responsibility for killing the 2 4-stars perfected persons. Furthermore, he promised Yixing that he would take care of the Fire Cloud sect. Yixing obviously believed Wu Yu's guarantee. Therefore, the Fire Cloud sect could be eliminated. Previously, Yun Tianhao had sent 2 4-star perfected persons to pursue Yixing, but both of them had died. It was impossible for the Fire Cloud sect to send another 4-star perfected persons to deal with him. It was illogical. If the 4-star perfected persons attacking the Duality Golden Array was an Earth Fiend sect warrior, Yixing would have his suspicions. If Wu Yu could even take care of the Fire Cloud sect, how could he not take care of the Earth Fiend sect? The Earth Fiend sect probably did not have the guts to go against Wu Yu. However, if this 4-star perfected persons did not come from the Fire Cloud sect or the Earth Fiend sect, where did they come from? Yixing could not think of any other enemy. He would occasionally think of the White Bone sect. The White Bone sect was a powerful sect that was on par with the Heavenly Dipper sect. However, the relationship between Yixing and the White Bone sect was at most not very good. There was no enmity between them. There was no reason for the White Bone sect to take the risk of becoming enemies with Wu Yu to deal with Yixing, who had no enmity with them. Therefore, Yixing could not figure out the 4-star perfected person's origins. The 4-star perfected persons were assassins from the 7 Kill Alliance, and the 7 Kill Alliance was an assassin organization in the Qingyu region. Yixing did not know, so he naturally could not figure it out. I don't care. Once I capture you alive, I'll be able to interrogate you about your origins. Yi Xing thought to himself, it's very easy to find out about me in the Qingyun region. Everyone knows what happened to the Dongfu sect. This 4-star perfected persons deliberately attacked me to lure me to the astral crystal mine. Clearly, he has something to rely on. Perhaps he has helpers. Yi Xing looked into the distance, saw through things, and scanned with his super brain as he searched. When Yi Xing was only about 10 kilometers away from the astral crystal mine, he discovered the other 3 perfected persons hiding in ambush. It was a shadowy area with dense trees. There was not enough light to begin with, and the 3 perfected persons were dressed in black robes that blended into the darkness. Even if he scanned the area, he would not be able to discover them. However, under Yi Xing's super brain scan, the 3 of them were clearly visible. The 3 of them were lying in ambush. Only one 4-star perfected persons was attacking the yin-yang golden light formation, which attracted Yi Xing's attention. The 3 of them secretly attacked. Even if their target was a 4-star perfected persons, with their assassination skills, they could kill him instantly. However, they did not expect that Yi Xing would not charge at them recklessly just because the astral crystal mine was under attack. Instead, he calmly approached them and discovered them first. This did not mean that the 3 perfected persons were not good at hiding as assassins. In fact, even a 4-star perfected persons would not be able to discover them if they searched carefully. However, their opponent was Yi Xing. Under the super brain scan, hiding was futile. Even if the 3 of them hid very well, even if they were buried in the soil and could not be seen, they could not escape Yi Xing's super brain scan. I see. 1 4-star perfected persons and 3 4-star perfected persons. What a powerful team. If I fly over and get ambushed by the 3 of them, I might actually be killed. Unfortunately, under the super brain scan, you have nowhere to hide. Since you want to ambush me, then have a taste of my ambush. Yi Xing snorted coldly in his heart. He used the power of darkness, and his entire body was shrouded in a dark aura. He blended into the shadows of the mountain, and his camouflage was even better than the assassins. Not long after, Yi Xing arrived at a mountain opposite the mountain where the 3 adepts were hiding. He was only 4 to 5 li away from the 3 adepts. Yi Xing's effective shooting range was more than 10 kilometers. He could reach them in the blink of an eye. 4 to 5 kilometers could be shot in less than half a blink of an eye. At such a close distance, Yi Xing believed that the 3 of them would not be able to react in time. Yi Xing drew the bowstring. He did not use his astrology to avoid alerting them, but he used 3 different powers of heaven and earth. The power of wind increased the arrow's speed. The power of fire increased the arrow's power. The power of darkness concealed the arrow's aura. Before it was shot, it was difficult to sense it. The tip of the arrow was aimed at the 4-star perfected persons. Yi Xing said in his heart, "Have a taste of my ambush." Whoosh! In an instant, Yi Xing released the bowstring. The arrow shot out and turned into a giant azure dragon. Azure dragon arrow style, a dragon's roar sounded. The azure dragon rushed across several kilometers and pounced at the 3 perfected persons' hiding place. In the blink of an eye, the arrow left the bowstring and turned into an azure dragon. It flew across several kilometers in less than half a blink of an eye. When the arrow left the bowstring, the 3 perfected persons felt the sharp aura of the arrow. Their hearts trembled. Before they could defend themselves, they were hit by the azure dragon's shadow. The 2 4-star perfected persons were fine. They were only hit by the azure dragon's shadow and did not receive any substantial damage. However, the 4-star perfected persons was hit by the arrow. The purple gold arrow instantly shot into the chest of the 4-star perfected persons. The 3 4-star perfected persons were all killed. Only the 4-star perfected persons was left. He was severely injured and nailed to the tree trunk, unable to move. Whoosh! Yi Xing flew across the sky and quickly landed in front of the 4-star perfected persons. He looked at them coldly and said, "Who are you? Who sent you to kill me? Tell me and I will give you a quick death." The 4-star perfected persons looked at Yi Xing. His eyes were full of shock and disbelief. He said, I did not expect that the target of this assassination is more like an assassin than us. I really did not expect this. As he spoke, black blood flowed out from the corners of his mouth. His body twitched. He had consumed poison and died. Chapter 427. Catch up on the 9th update. The 7-Kill League was able to survive in the Qinyu region for more than 1,000 years because they had a strict system. No assassin was allowed to leak any information about the 7-Kill League. Every assassin had a pill in their mouth that contained deadly poison. If they were captured alive, they would bite the pill and take the poison to kill themselves. As a result, no one was able to obtain information about the 7-Kill League and no one knew where the headquarters of the 7-Kill League was. This was the reason why the 7-Kill League was able to survive. The assassin's suicide by taking poison was out of Yi Xing's expectations. Yi Xing sighed helplessly. If he had known earlier, he would not have asked. Instead, he would have sealed the assassin's acupoints so that he could not move. Then, he would not have needed to ask. Yi Xing used his eye of clear cloud and used his mind power to forcefully penetrate the assassin's mind to search for information. Although this would destroy the assassin's mind and the information obtained would not be complete, it was still better than not getting anything at all. Yi Xing moved the corpses of the 4 perfected persons together. Naturally, Yi Xing noticed that there were 7 small blood-red swords on their sleeves. The 4 of them have 7 small blood-red swords on their sleeves. This should be a clue. Perhaps it represents their identities. The 4 of them each have a medium-grade flying spiritual weapon. A medium-grade flying spiritual weapon is worth at least 20,000 medium-grade star crystals. None of the medium-grade perfected persons from the 9 upper sects have a medium-grade flying spiritual weapon. Could it be that the 4 of them are not martial artists from the true Xian domain? Yi Xing frowned slightly and was surprised. The 4 perfected persons were most likely not martial artists from the true Xian domain. However, Yi Xing had never left the true Xian domain. Even when he left the Qingyun region, he had only gone to the 9 Heaven City once. There was no way that he could have offended martial artists from outside the true Xian domain. If they are martial artists from outside the true Xian domain, they might be assassins hired by someone to kill me. That's right. The 5-star perfected persons said that they were more like assassins than us. It seems that they are indeed assassins. This makes sense. Someone wants me dead, but they don't dare to openly go against Wuyu. Therefore, they invited assassins from outside the true Xian region to kill me. If I was killed, Wuyu would only be able to find the assassins from other regions. Although Wuyu has a very high position in the true Xian domain, he doesn't have much of a deterrent force in other regions. It would be difficult for him to find the real culprit behind my death. If someone hired an assassin to kill me, be it the Earth Fiend sect or the Fire Cloud sect, they are all suspects. Yi Xing's superbrain was powerful, and it worked very quickly. He thought about it carefully and figured out what had happened. Yi Xing collected the 4 enlightened masters' mid-grade storage rings and mid-grade air transportation spiritual tools. Then he waved his hand, sending out starfire that enveloped the 4 corpses and set them ablaze. Looking at the 4 burning corpses, Yi Xing's eyes narrowed and glowed. He murmured, "Hired assassins to take my life? One day I will get to the bottom of this. No matter who the real culprit is, you are all dead." Soon, the 4 corpses turned into ashes. Yi Xing entered the Star Crystal Mine and met Gu Tianshang. After Yi Xing destroyed the Dongfu sect, Hua Tianfeng and Lin Tongyu led some martial artists back to the Falling Star sect. Gu Tianshang continued to guard the Star Crystal Mine. Yi Xing told Gu Tianshang about the 4 enlightened masters he had just killed. He had already guessed their origins, and Gu Tianshang was shocked. He couldn't believe that Yi Xing had just returned, and now, even a 5-star enlightened master had died in Yi Xing's hands. Of course, Gu Tianshang was more worried about the origins of these assassins. Gu Tianshang said, "I don't know about the outside world, but the true Xian domain doesn't have such a powerful assassin organization that could send 4 mid-grade enlightened masters to kill you. Moreover, each of them has a mid-grade flying spiritual artifact. They must be martial artists from other regions. The star continent is very big, and there are many experts in the outside world. There are even venerables and kings. Yi Xing, when you encounter something, you have to be cautious. When the star crystal lode was attacked, you didn't rush in recklessly. Instead, you calmly approached and ambushed those assassins. This is the function of being cautious. You have to be careful at all times. Yi Xing nodded and said, I will. Elder Gu, how is the mining of the star crystal mine going? Gu Tianshang said, we are almost done. We have finished mining the low-grade astral crystals. We have a total of 23 million astral crystals. The middle-grade astral crystals should be finished in 3 to 5 days. We have a total of 1 million astral crystals. Yi Xing said, I will practice my archery in the next few days near the star crystal mine. When the mining is finished, everyone will return to the sect. I will destroy this place so that no one will find out. In the next few days, Gu Tianshang sped up the mining process, traveling day and night. Outside the star crystal mine was the Azure Cloud Mountain Range. There were many open areas, which were suitable for Yi Xing to practice his exterminating flame archery. 3 days passed in a hurry. When the mining of mid-grade star crystal mine was finally finished, Yi Xing's exterminating flame archery improved by leaps and bounds. Yi Xing obtained 5 mid-grade storage rings from Yang Ba and the 4 assassins. The storage space of a mid-grade storage ring was about 10 times larger than that of a low-grade storage ring. No matter what grade of star crystal it was, its volume was the same. A low-grade storage ring could store about 200,000, while a mid-grade storage ring could store about 2 million. Yi Xing had a total of 7 mid-grade storage rings. One was the Falling Star Sect's Sect Master's Ring, one was from Gu Feiyang, and the other 5 were from Yang Ba and the 4 assassins. The millions of medium-grade star crystals that Yi Xing had extracted were stored in the medium-grade storage ring that he had used to store the medium-grade star crystals. The other 6 medium-grade storage rings contained 12 million low-grade star crystals. Yi Xing had a lot of low-grade storage rings, about a dozen of them. He organized his belongings into a few low-grade storage rings and put the rest of them into low-grade star crystals, which added up to 6 million low-grade star crystals. There were still millions of low-grade star crystals left, which could not be stored. They could only continue to be stored in the underground treasury of this stronghold. After all, there were formations protecting it. Yi Xing set up a large number of self-destructing formations in the depths of the star crystal mine, destroying the mine. Then, led by Yi Xing, all the people in the stronghold returned to the Falling Stars sect on the silver-winged demonic condors and 2 red flame-flying lions. After Yi Xing rebuilt the sect, although Hua Tianfeng and Lin Tongyu led some cultivators back to there were very few of them. The place was very big, so it always seemed cold and cheerless. Now that everyone in the star crystal mine had returned, the place was livelier. However, it still could not be compared to before. After returning to the sect, Yi Xing received another piece of good news. The group of Falling Star sect disciples had already entered the Falling Star Nation and would reach the Falling Star sect the next day. The next day, Wu Mingyi led close to 200 Falling Star sect disciples to the Falling Star sect. There were also 2 3-star venerables from the Tianluo sect. Yi Xing opened the formation door and led everyone to the foot of the mountain to receive the group. These disciples were the elites of the Falling Star sect. Many of them were high-grade martial sages and would become marquises in the future. If they were lucky, some of them might even become venerables. After sending the Falling Star sect disciples to the sect, Xianxia and Yang Tongji rested for a while before bidding farewell to Yi Xing. They had not returned to the sect yet. Although they had been escorting the disciples of the Falling Star sect for almost 3 months, the 2 of them were in a good mood. Firstly, they had improved their relationship with the Falling Star sect. Secondly, they had traveled together with Wu Mingyi. They were both enlightened masters, so they had little to talk about with the disciples of the Falling Star sect. Over time, they became friends. The Tianluo sect was a powerful force in the Qingyun district, but it was not worth mentioning in front of the Tiangang sect. No one in the sect was related to the Tiangang sect. Now, Xianxia and Yang Tongji had become friends with Wu Mingyi. This was great news for the Tianluo sect and for themselves. At least, their status in the Tianluo sect would change greatly. Even 4-star venerables might not be as important as them. In the future, their words would have a lot of weight in the sect. That night, Yi Xing and Wu Mingyi had a drink to thank Wu Mingyi for escorting them. After 30 minutes of drinking, Yi Xing asked Wu Mingyi, "Brother Wu, there was a man wearing a black robe with 7 blood-red swords embroidered on his sleeves. Do you know where he came from?" Wu Mingyi was stunned. He asked in surprise, "Why do you ask, Lord Yi? Have you met him before?" Yi Xing nodded and told Wu Mingyi about how he killed the 4 assassins. Wu Mingyi sucked in a breath of cold air and said, "Young Master Yi, this is incredible. This is big trouble. There are 7 small blood-red swords on his sleeves. This is the symbol of the 7 Kill Alliance, an assassin organization in the Green Feather region." Yi Xing raised his eyebrows. "Qingyu District's 7 Kill Alliance?" Wu Mingyi nodded. "That's right. The 7 Kill Alliance is one of the top assassins in the 1-star forces. Any 1-star sect is wary of them. Most of the cultivators they've assassinated were Astral Realm cultivators. They've even assassinated half-step Honorable Realm experts." "So powerful?" Yi Xing was stunned. This assassin organization was much more powerful than he had imagined. Wu Mingyi said, "The Qingyu district is ruled by the Qingyu Empire. Even the Qingyu Empire wants to eliminate the 7 Kill Alliance, but the 7 Kill Alliance still exists. Of course, they are powerful. Even the imperial family of the Qingyu Empire was assassinated by the 7 Kill Alliance." Although Yi Xing was surprised by the strength of the 7 Kill Alliance, he was not afraid. Soon, his expression returned to normal and he said indifferently, "They failed the first time and the assassins they sent were all killed. Will the assassination be stopped or will there be a second time?" Wu Mingyi said, "The 7 Kill Alliance can survive for a long time because they are strong, secretive, and trustworthy. They will definitely complete the mission they accept. Even if they fail the first time, there will be a second and third time. They will only give up if they fail all 3 times and return the reward to the customer. Therefore, whether it is to avenge the assassins who failed the first time, to maintain the reputation of the 7 Kill Alliance, or for the success of their business, they will definitely do it again." End of 4th update. Looking for guaranteed monthly votes. Chapter 428. Since this matter involved the 7 Kill Alliance, Wu Mingyi couldn't help but feel uneasy. The 7 Kill Alliance had sent a 5 Celestial Enlightened Master the first time. If they were to send a second time, they would send at least a 6th Celestial Enlightened Master. Since the Green Cloud region was far away from the 7 Kill Alliance's territory, they might send a 7th stage Astral Realm cultivator just to be safe. Wu Mingyi was a 6th Celestial Enlightened Master. If the 7 Kill Alliance sent 2 6th Celestial Enlightened Masters, it would be difficult for him to deal with them, let alone a 7th stage Astral Realm cultivator. Therefore, Wu Mingyi immediately sent someone to invite the Heavenly Luo sect's 3-star Enlightened Master, Xianxia, to the 9 Heaven City to inform Wu Yu. Only the arrival of Wu Yu could ensure the safety of Yi Xing and the Falling Star sect. Yi Xing planned to go out and train after the Falling Star sect's disciples returned. With the threat of the 7 Kill Alliance, Yi Xing was worried about the sect's safety, so he wasn't in a hurry to leave. The 7 Kill Alliance is powerful. If I go out and train, I will have to hide my whereabouts. If the 7 Kill Alliance's assassins don't get any news of me, they will definitely think that I'm in the sect. Therefore, I must protect the Falling Star sect. I have to comprehend all of Venerable Azure Cloud's array knowledge and become a 3rd grade array grandmaster. Once I've completed the 3rd grade array formation outside the even if Venerable Master comes, he won't be able to do anything to the Falling Star sect. Yi Xing thought to himself. Every day, Yi Xing practiced the blazing arrow art and comprehended the array Dao. Of course, he didn't stop cultivating. When Xianxia went to the 9 Heaven City, Yi Xing gave him a large amount of astral crystals and asked him to buy pills suitable for Celestial Vortex Realm cultivators to increase the strength of the Falling Star sect's disciples. Moreover, the Falling Star sect was the only sect left in the southern region of the Green Cloud region. The Falling Star sect was recruiting talented disciples in the southern region to strengthen the Falling Star sect's younger generation. A few days after Xianxia left, another guest came to the Falling Star sect. The genius disciple of the Golden Sword sect, Mu Xiaoyue, had arrived at the Falling Star sect. Accompanying him was a 6-star enlightened being of the Golden Sword sect, Mu Qiuheng. Mu Xiaoyue had lost to Yixing at the Young Hero Assembly, but he was not convinced. He had said that he would fight with Yixing again in 3 months. Yixing didn't take this 3-month agreement to heart, but Mu Xiaoyue did. He wanted to defeat Yixing and prove to all the martial artists in the True Shen domain that he, Mu Xiaoyue, was the #1 genius of the True Shen domain and the #1 of the younger generation in the True Shen domain. Yixing, come out and fight me. Come out and fight me. Fight me. Mu Xiaoyue stood outside the Falling Star sect and channeled his astral energy. He let out a thunderous roar that shook the heavens. Yixing was in the middle of comprehending the formation in the sect. Hearing this, his eyes widened and he stood up. It had been more than 3 months since the Young Hero Assembly ended. Since Mu Xiaoyue had come to fulfill the 3-month agreement, he must be stronger than he was 3 months ago. Yixing guessed that Mu Xiaoyue had already broken through to the 2nd level of the Astral Star realm. Therefore, his voice was filled with confidence, as if he was certain that he would win. Yixing quickly arrived at the mountain gate. The other martial artists of the Falling Star sect had also heard Mu Xiaoyue's voice and rushed to the Falling Star peak. Yixing opened the formation door and let Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng in. Mu Xiaoyue flapped his wings and flew to the center of the square in front of the Falling Star Hall. His eyes were like swords as they swept towards Yixing. Mu Xiaoyue released his cultivation and yelled, "Come! Today, I will take revenge for my defeat 3 months ago. Yixing with me, Mu Xiaoyue, here, you can only be second." Mu Xiaoyue released the aura of the 2nd stage of the astral realm. He was indeed a 2-star enlightened being. Yixing flew into the square and landed in front of Mu Xiaoyue. He also released his cultivation and said, "Mu Xiaoyue, you are too arrogant. Mu Xiaoyue, you're overconfident. You're not the only one who made a breakthrough in cultivation. I defeated you 3 months ago, and I can defeat you again today. The gap between us will only grow bigger and bigger." Mu Xiaoyue was shocked. Outside the square, the 6-star enlightened being, Mu Qiuheng, also narrowed his eyes. Both of them were in disbelief. In the Young Hero Assembly 3 months ago, Yixing had broken through to the astral realm and became a 1-star enlightened being. Now, only 3 months had passed, and he had broken through again to become a 2-star enlightened being. In the astral realm, he had broken through a realm in less than 3 months. This was too frightening. Mu Xiaoyue's cultivation talent was very high. 3 months before the Young Hero Assembly, he had broken through to the astral realm and became a 1-star enlightened being. After the Young Hero Assembly, Mu Xiaoyue took another 2 months to break through to the 2-star enlightened being. It took him 5 months to break through from the 1st stage of the astral realm to the 2nd stage. This kind of cultivation speed was far beyond ordinary people and even the other genius martial artists. However, it was still not enough in front of Yixing. Mu Xiaoyue's heart was slightly shaken. Then his eyes flashed, and his sword heart destroyed the negative emotions. Looking at Yixing in front of him, Mu Xiaoyue's expression became serious, but he was still unwilling to admit defeat. "When you were a 1-star enlightened being, you barely beat me. Now that we are both 2-star enlightened beings, you may not be able to beat me. My Golden Dragon Sword art has reached greater completion, and it is even more powerful than the transformative Golden Sword art. Let's see how you block it." While speaking, Mu Xiaoyue raised his hand, and the upper-grade spiritual weapon on his back flew into his hand. Suddenly, a terrifying aura of sharpness erupted from his body. In the air above Mu Xiaoyue, the sharp aura even condensed into a huge sword of nothingness. It pierced straight into the sky, cutting the clouds in the sky in half. That sharp aura made all the martial artists on the Falling Star Peak tremble in fear. Yixing put on the upper-grade spiritual weapon, the blazing flame gloves. His expression was indifferent, and Mu Xiaoyue's sharp aura did not affect him in the slightest. Yi Xing's posture was like a mountain, and he was as immovable as a mountain. He said, "It seems that if I don't defeat you again, your heart will always be filled with fantasies. In the past 3 months, my strength has also improved. Bring it on. If you can force me back even one step, I will admit defeat." On the falling star peak, all of the martial artists were staring at Yi Xing and Mu Xiaoyue. These two were the most monstrous geniuses of the true Xian region. Once again, victory and defeat would be decided. When they were 1-star enlightened being, Yi Xing was better. Now, when they were 2-star enlightened being, who was stronger and who was weaker? Mu Xiaoyue was also a peerless genius of the true Xian domain that was rarely seen in thousands of years. Would he be able to make a comeback in this battle? Mu Xiaoyue knew that Yi Xing was strong, so he didn't dare to underestimate him. He immediately used his astrology, and a bright golden star floated in the air. Yi Xing also used his flame astrology. With Yi Xing's strength, even if he didn't use his astrology, he could still fight against Mu Xiaoyue. However, Yi Xing didn't want to fight slowly with Mu Xiaoyue. Instead, he wanted to use a thunderous momentum to let his opponent know the difference between them. "Divine Dragon goes to sea," Mu Xiaoyue shouted. He slashed out with his sword, and a sword aura flashed. In an instant, the air in front of him tumbled like waves. That sword aura instantly turned into a golden dragon. It broke through the air and rushed towards Yi Xing. The golden dragon shined with a golden light. Every part of its body was covered with a sharp sword aura, revealing a terrifying aura. Before the golden dragon arrived, the sword aura was already 1 step ahead. The wind around Yi Xing was howling, and there were even sounds of air being cut apart. However, Yi Xing was as immovable as a mountain. His body seemed to be surrounded by a powerful aura. He wasn't affected by the sword aura at all. His clothes didn't move, and his hair didn't flutter. Facing the roaring golden dragon sword aura, Yi Xing's expression was calm. When the golden dragon sword aura arrived in front of him, Yi Xing punched out, pressing down, condensing flames into astral energy. This punch contained the power of flames, the power of the flame astral energy, and the power of the flame astrology. All of these were condensed into the astral energy fist, and it accurately smashed into the golden dragon's head. Bang! The golden dragon suddenly shook. Yi Xing's punch smashed it into the ground. Yi Xing's fist pressed down on the golden dragon's head like a mountain. The golden dragon's body struggled, but its head was still pressed down by Yi Xing's fist. On the ground of the square, where the golden dragon touched, countless sword scars appeared in the blink of an eye. From this, one could see how sharp and terrifying the golden dragon sword aura was. But even so, he was still suppressed by Yi Xing's punch until he could not turn over. Yi Xing's strength made the martial artists even more shocked. Mu Xiaoyue's forehead was dripping with sweat. He tried his best to stimulate the sword aura, but to no avail. In the end, he could only disperse this move. In an instant, he waved his high-grade spirit weapon, displaying an even more powerful sword move. "Dragon soars in the sky!" Mu Xiaoyue roared. The sword aura exploded, turning into a golden dragon that soared into the sky. The golden dragon was larger than before, and it was clearly more powerful. It soared 100 meters into the air before diving down at Yi Xing, attacking from above. Yi Xing could forget about pressing the golden dragon sword aura to the ground again. Moreover, the golden dragon sword aura carried with it a diving force. If Yi Xing wanted to receive this move without taking a single step back, it would be extremely difficult. In the face of this attack, Yi Xing's expression remained calm. However, the aura on his body suddenly erupted, and his might grew even stronger. Astral shattering the heavens. Yi Xing welcomed the golden dragon sword aura and punched out. In an instant, a flaming astral fist bloomed, exploding upon contact with the golden dragon sword aura. Bang! The sound shook the heavens and the earth. Shockwaves formed, terrifying shockwaves that blew out in all directions. Outside the square, some martial artists with low cultivations were forced back again and again by the shockwaves, unable to stand firm. With a loud explosion, the golden dragon sword aura collapsed layer by layer, disappearing into nothingness. Yi Xing had not taken a single step back and had broken through this move. Some of the Falling Star sect disciples couldn't help but cheer. Mu Xiaoyue's complexion was ugly. He had come to the Falling Star sect to defeat Yi Xing. But now, he couldn't even force Yi Xing back by a single step. This was unacceptable to him. Mu Xiaoyue crazily swung the astral stars. Astral sword aura condensed within his body, emitting the sound of metal striking metal. His aura suddenly soared, becoming wild and violent. Mu Xiaoyue's eyes widened. His body no longer had that elegant and refined temperament, only a wild and violent aura. Mu Xiaoyue loudly shouted, "Receive my finishing move, leaderless dragons." Xiu 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 xiu. Mu Xiaoyue slashed out with his sword. The sound of metal striking metal increased by 100 times. In the blink of an eye, countless golden dragon sword auras rushed out. Chapter 429. Each of these golden dragon swords was only 3 meters long, but there were hundreds of them, and all of them were charging toward Yi Xing. This move was called leaderless dragons. Leaderless dragons meant that they were like a sheet of loose sand, without any order. These golden dragon swords weaved together in an incomparably chaotic manner as they attacked Yi Xing. If it were an ordinary person, they would not be able to see through the attack trajectory of this move. This was because this move's specialty was that it was chaotic and unblockable. In the face of this move, it did not matter if one was stronger than Mu Xiaoyue, they would still have to retreat and avoid it for the time being. Mu Xiaoyue knew that Yi Xing's speed was extremely fast. If Yi Xing dodged with all his strength, this leaderless dragons might not be able to hurt him. With the strength that Yi Xing had displayed before, Mu Xiaoyue was naturally more likely to lose this battle than win. However, even if he lost, Mu Xiaoyue would still force Yi Xing back. He absolutely did not believe that he could not even force Yi Xing back by a single step. However, Yi Xing did not retreat in the face of this move. Instead, his expression became more serious, and his eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Other martial artists could not see the attack trajectory of this move, but Yi Xing was an exception. Under the scan of the superbrain, even though the chaotic golden dragon swords weaved together in a chaotic manner, Yi Xing could still clearly see the attack trajectory of each of the swords. Fire burns the 9 heavens. Yi Xing shouted as he used one of the flaming astral fists group attack moves. Yi Xing quickly threw out punch after punch. In the blink of an eye, who knew how many punches he had thrown out? The dense flaming astral fists overlapped with each other. Seeing that Yi Xing did not dodge and instead chose to face the attacks head-on, Mu Xiaoyue's expression suddenly turned to pleasant surprise. He knew very well that this move was like a headless dragon. When the energy swords attacked, their trajectories were chaotic. Even he did not know the trajectory of each energy sword. He was only certain that each energy sword would hit its target. Mu Xiaoyue didn't believe that Yi Xing could block all of the golden dragon sword astral swords. He was well aware of the power of his move. If Yi Xing was hit by the golden dragon sword astral swords, he would be severely injured. In that case, the winner of this battle would be Mu Xiaoyue. Boom 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 boom. The flaming energy fist collided with the golden dragon sword energy, and a series of loud booms rang out in the air. On the fallen star peak, all the warriors widened their eyes and stared at the square. The scene of this fight was too complicated. The fist and sword collided and exploded. Astral chi filled the air in all directions. A radius of several dozen meters around Yi Xing was engulfed by surging waves of stellar energy. Outsiders could not see what was happening within the waves of stellar energy. The number of densely packed golden dragon sword astral swords was simply too great. Had Yi Xing blocked them all or not? The Falling Star sect warriors naturally had absolute confidence in their sovereign Yi Xing. They believed that Yi Xing had blocked them all. As for Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng, they were well aware of the terror of a headless dragon. They believed that Yi Xing had not been able to block them all. The fierce sounds of collisions only lasted for a moment. Besides the surging waves of stellar energy, everything quieted down. The Falling Star sect warriors all stared at Yi Xing's position, waiting for the surging waves of stellar energy to dissipate. Mu Xiaoyue's lips curled up, revealing a victorious smile. Mu Xiaoyue threw his sword back into the scabbard on his back. The smile on his face grew wider as he said, "Yi Xing." However, before the word defeat could leave his mouth, the surging waves of stellar energy had already dissipated. Yi Xing's figure was revealed, completely unharmed. Yi Xing was still standing where he was. His legs were rooted to the ground as if they had grown roots. His posture was like a mountain, unmoving like a mountain. He had not taken even half a step back. You're not injured?" Mu Xiaoyue's smile froze on his face as his expression turned to one of shock. He couldn't help but exclaim, "Impossible! How could you block a headless dragon? This is impossible!" At the edge of the square, Mu Qiuheng's face was also filled with shock. A headless dragon, chaotic stellar energy, and unstoppable stellar energy. How could Yi Xing have accurately blocked every stellar energy? In contrast to Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng's shock, the Falling Star Sect warriors were all in a good mood. They did not care how difficult this move was to block. They only knew that Yi Xing had blocked it. Yi Xing's lips curled into a faint smile as he said, "I already said that the gap between us will only continue to grow. You've attacked me 3 times. Do you dare to receive one of my moves?" Although Mu Xiaoyue was shocked by Yi Xing's strength, he was also very confident in his own strength. He had attacked Yi Xing 3 times in a row, but he was still unable to force Yi Xing back a single step. He already felt extremely embarrassed, so how could he not dare to receive one of Yi Xing's moves? Mu Xiaoyue coldly snorted. With a wave of his hand, the high-grade spirit artifact sword on his back once again flew into his hand. "Not to mention one move, even if I receive 10 moves from you, it's still not a problem." Mu Xiaoyue did not dare to say that he would not retreat a single step in the face of Yi Xing's attacks. However, he was still confident that he could receive 10 moves from Yi Xing. Yi Xing shook his head and said, "I don't need 10 moves. To defeat you, 1 move is enough." Tiger roar and dragon roar. As soon as Yi Xing's voice fell, he took a step forward and punched out, displaying the ultimate move of the flaming dipper fist. In an instant, there was a loud boom as the air exploded. A fire dragon and a fire tiger appeared beside Yi Xing's fist. The sound of a dragon's roar shook the heavens. When the martial artists heard this, they were all shocked. This fist contained the power of a dragon and a tiger. It was terrifying to the extreme, and its power was unstoppable. Divine Dragon goes to sea. When Yi Xing punched out, Mu Xiaoyue circulated his astral energy to the limit. His strength erupted as he slashed out with his sword. The sword energy exploded, turning into a huge golden dragon that pounced towards Yi Xing. Mu Xiaoyue did not believe that Yi Xing's move could break his golden dragon sword energy and defeat him. Boom! The fire dragon and fire tiger merged into the flaming fist and collided with the golden dragon sword energy. A loud explosion shook the heavens. A shocking scene appeared. The golden dragon sword energy was instantly shattered and the dragon body shattered. However, Yi Xing's fist continued forward, unstoppable. The speed of this fist was too fast, almost surpassing the speed of sound, causing the air to explode. The air in front of Mu Xiaoyue and the shattered dragon body were affected by the force of the fist. Arcs of ripples formed, but in the blink of an eye, they were caught up by the fist from behind. In the blink of an eye, countless arcs of ripples were caught up by the fist and shattered. By the time Mu Xiaoyue reacted, Yi Xing's fist had already slammed into the high-grade spirit artifact treasure sword in his hand. Clang! The treasure sword trembled and bent like a crescent moon. It was instantly sent flying. At the same time, Mu Xiaoyue's body also shot backwards. In an instant, he retreated out of the square and landed several hundred meters away. After landing, Mu Xiaoyue cried out and spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was pale, and his injuries were not light. Mu Xiaoyue's cultivation was not very stable after breaking through to become a 2-star sage. Although he had cultivated the Golden Dragon Sword technique to greater success, his strength was only at the upper level among 4-star sages. He was still a bit away from the top. Yi Xing's full-strength punch in the state of the Flaming Star was something that even a top 4-star sage would not be able to withstand, let alone Mu Xiaoyue. Naturally, he was sent flying by Yixing's punch and suffered heavy injuries. The martial artists of the Falling Star sect forgot to cheer. They were all shocked by the terrifying power of Yixing's punch. They looked at Yixing with admiration and reverence. They could not help but fantasize in their hearts, how great would it be if I could be this powerful one day? Xiaoyue! Mu Qiuheng cried out in alarm the moment Mu Xiaoyue was sent flying. He immediately rushed to Mu Xiaoyue's side. Mu Xiaoyue stopped Mu Qiuheng from helping him and got up by himself. Mu Qiuheng saw Mu Xiaoyue's body stagger, almost falling to the ground as he tried to crawl back up. He immediately roared at Yixing, "Yixing, you've got guts. You actually dared to use such a vicious move." Yixing chuckled and said, "If you were afraid of losing, why did you come all the way to the Falling Star sect to fight with me? Isn't it beautiful to fantasize about being the best in the world in the Golden Sword sect?" Mu Qiuheng was furious, but he was stopped by Mu Xiaoyue as soon as he spoke. Mu Xiaoyue took a healing elixir and cupped his fists at Yixing. "Brother Yixing is right. I have always been unconvinced that you won first place in the Young Hero Assembly. It seems that I was indeed arrogant. Today, Brother Yi allowed me to clearly see the gap between us. It can be considered as a wake-up call for me. There are only benefits and no disadvantages. I have to say thank you to Brother Yi. You deserve to be first on the Earth Profound list." Yixing nodded. Besides being a little arrogant, Mu Xiaoyue had no other shortcomings. He was able to recognize his own shortcomings and was extraordinary. In the future, he would definitely have extraordinary achievements. Yixing said, "Brother Mu, take care of yourself. Don't be limited to the true Xian domain. Our stage should be the East Divine Continent's Genius Assembly. At that time, I hope Brother Mu can take another step forward in his cultivation and strength and obtain a good ranking." Mu Xiaoyue nodded and said, "I will. I will closely follow Brother Ye's footsteps. Brother Yi must also work hard. If you stop moving forward, you will be surpassed by me. Goodbye." Mu Xiaoyue and Mu Qiuheng came quickly and left quickly. They left the Falling Star sect and soon disappeared from the vision of the martial artists. However, the shock caused by the battle between Yixing and Mu Xiaoyue was deeply imprinted in the hearts of the Falling Star sect's martial artists. Every martial artist took Yixing as a role model and a goal to pursue. They looked forward to the day when they could be as strong as Yixing. This seed of strength was deeply buried in the hearts of every Falling Star sect's martial artists. It was extremely important for their future martial path. As for Yixing, the battle with Mu Xiaoyue was just a small episode in his life. After Mu Xiaoyue left, Yixing returned to his normal routine. Every day, he cultivated the flame-destroying arrow art, comprehended the array knowledge left behind by Venerable Qin Yun, and cultivated the top-grade Falling Star art to consolidate his cultivation at the second level of the astral realm. Time flowed like water, day by day. 7 days after the battle with Mu Xiaoyue, Yixing's flame-destroying arrow art had successfully broken through to the Great Accomplishment Realm. In terms of power, it was not inferior to the transformation realm of the Four Symbols arrow art. Because the flame-destroying arrow art was a fire attribute martial art, when combined with the flame astrology, its power was even stronger than the Four Symbols arrow art. Chapter 430. 10 more. Compared to the flame arrow art, it was much more difficult for Yixing to fully comprehend the knowledge left behind by Venerable Qin Yun. Yixing needed more time to become a level 3 array grandmaster. Time passed quickly, and 10 days passed in the blink of an eye. On this day, Master Wu Yu arrived at the together with Xianxia, who had gone to deliver the letter, and Yang Gang, a disciple of the Tiangang sect. Wu Yu knew that the 7 Kill League assassins wanted to assassinate Yixing, so he came personally and brought Yang Gang, who had just broken through to the 4th stage of the astral realm. "Greetings, Master." Yixing greeted Wu Yu first, then looked at Yang Gang and said, "It's been 3 months since we last met, and Brother Yang has become a mid-level sage. Congratulations." Wu Yu smiled and nodded at Yixing. Yang Gang was happy, but he also sighed and said, "If it was in the past, A 4th stage astral realm cultivator would be able to sit at the top of the earth profound ranking, but now, I heard that Mu Xiaoyue had already become a 2-star sage before I became a 4-star sage. You even became a 2-star sage before Mu Xiaoyue. My strength definitely can't compare to the two of you. Being in the same generation as the two of you is too depressing. Yang Gang added, you defeated Mu Xiaoyue when you were a 1-star sage. Now that you're both 2-star sage, I don't know who's stronger. Of course, if you use archery, you're definitely stronger. Yang Gang did not know that Yi Xing and Mu Xiaoyue had already competed, but he knew that Yi Xing's archery skills had killed a 5 celestial enlightened being and 3-4 celestial enlightened beings from the 7-kill league. Even though it was a sneak attack, it still proved that Yi Xing's archery skills were extremely powerful and terrifying. Hearing this, Wu Mingyi chuckled and said, more than half a month ago, Mu Xiaoyue came to the Falling Star sect and sparred with little friend Yi. The difference in strength between the two of them was very large, and Mu Xiaoyue was seriously injured. Yang Gang smiled faintly and said, I knew that Brother Yi was more powerful than me. How many moves did you use to defeat Mu Xiaoyue? Wu Mingyi said, Mu Xiaoyue attacked 3 times first, but little friend Yi didn't even take a step back. Little friend Yi counterattacked, and Mu Xiaoyue spat out a mouthful of blood and retreated. He was severely injured. Wu Mingyi spoke casually, but whether it was Wu Yu, Yang Gang, or Xiang Hongye, all of them were shocked. Previously, they had heard from Wu Mingyi that the gap was huge, but they didn't know exactly how big it was. Now that Wu Mingyi had explained it in detail, they realized that the gap wasn't small. It was on a completely different level. Mu Xiaoyue was also a rare monstrous genius in the True Xian region. Unfortunately, he was completely suppressed by Yi Xing. Yang Gang sighed and said, it seems that the saddest one isn't me, but Mu Xiaoyue. He's such a monstrous genius, rarely seen in the True Xian region. In the end, he's in the same generation as you and is completely suppressed. This is truly sad. Yi Xing shook his head and said, I don't think this is sad, but an honor. A flourishing age produces heroes. No matter if it's you or Mu Xiaoyue, in most eras, you would be ranked first on the Earth Xian list. Even Bai Tsang and Meng Ji could be ranked first on the Earth Xian list, but this generation doesn't have them. This proves that our generation is in a flourishing age. Being born in a flourishing age is an honor in itself. Why bother with being ranked first? Although Mu Xiaoyue isn't ranked first on the Earth Xian list, his future achievements will be much greater than before. But I can be sure that his future achievements will far surpass the previous number 1 on the Earth Profound ranking. Since that's the case, is there any meaning in being number 1? Yang Gang was stunned by Yi Xing's words. His eyes gradually glowed as he said, Brother Ye's view is different from the rest. It's enlightening. Yes, being born in a flourishing age is an honor in itself. Yi Xing smiled and changed the topic, asking, Brother Yang, why did you come to the Falling Star sect? Yang Gang said, I came to find you. Let's go to the Heavenly Corpse mountain range to train together. Yi Xing's expression was surprised. Heavenly Corpse mountain range? Yi Xing had heard of the Heavenly Corpse mountain range. The corpse jade he auctioned off at the White Bones auction house was produced in the Heavenly Corpse mountain range. It helped him consolidate his cultivation at the first stage of the astral realm. Yang Gang said, Winter and spring have passed. The weather is warm and the air is warm. Every year during summer and autumn, the yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse mountain range is the weakest. It's the best time to obtain corpse jades. It's very difficult to obtain corpse jades during winter and spring, but it's much easier during summer and autumn. Corpse jades are good items to increase one's cultivation. At the end of this year, the East Divine Continent's Junior Genius Assembly will be held. Compared to the juniors of the 2-star Empire, our cultivation is at a disadvantage. If we can obtain a good corpse jade to increase our cultivation speed, we might be able to make up for the gap between us. At the same time, we won't lose too badly in the East Divine Continent's Junior Genius Assembly. Master Wu Yu said, Yi Xing, although your cultivation speed is fast, the corpse jade will make it even faster. Moreover, a cultivator needs to experience the world on their path of growth. It's taboo to cultivate in seclusion in the sect. You don't have to worry about me in the Falling Star sect. As he spoke, Master Wu took out a leather mask and said, "Wear this mask and go to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range with Yang Gang. No matter how powerful the assassins of the Seven Kill League are, they won't be able to find the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range from the Falling Star sect for no reason." Yi Xing took the mask and said, "Okay, I originally planned to go out and experience the world. However, I didn't leave because I was worried about the Falling Star sect. Now that Master is here, I can rest assured." Yi Xing put on the mask. The mask stuck closely to his face, making it impossible to see his true appearance. At night, Yi Xing and Yang Gang left the Falling Star sect under the cover of the night. The two rode the silver-winged demonic eagle and went to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. Yi Xing and Yang Gang sat cross-legged on the back of the silver-winged demonic eagle. Yi Xing asked, "Brother Yang, have you been to the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range?" Yang Gang nodded and said, "Yes. The Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is very vast. I heard that it's even bigger than the true Xian domain. I've only been to a very small area." Yi Xing was surprised and said, "Bigger than the true Xian domain? How can there be such a big mountain range?" Yang Gang smiled faintly and said, "The Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is not entirely a mountain. It is just a general name for a region. Because of the heavy yin qi, it is difficult for the living to survive there. However, if the corpses are buried there, they can absorb the yin qi and have the possibility of coming back to life. Therefore, the entire region is dominated by corpse martial artists. Therefore, it is called the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. It is a tomb for the living and a paradise for the dead." Corpse Dao martial artists? What are Corpse Dao martial artists? When Yi Xing heard the name, he vaguely understood the meaning and couldn't help but ask. Yang Gang said, "Corpse Dao martial artists are dead people who have come back to life and have regained consciousness. However, they don't have the memories of their previous life. Strictly speaking, they can't be counted as living dead. They rely on the yin qi of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to survive. Once they leave the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range and lose the nourishment of the yin qi, they will die and become corpses." Chapter 431. Living Dead. Yi Xing thought to himself, "Aren't they just zombies?" Thinking about the zombies on Earth, Yi Xing felt disgusted and said, "Where did corpse jades come from? Could it be something that was born in the body of a corpse martial artist? If it was something from a zombie's body, then it would be filthy." Yi Xing remembered that he had absorbed a corpse jade and felt uncomfortable in his heart. Yang Gang saw this and laughed. "You guessed wrong. How could a treasure like corpse jade be born in the body of a corpse martial artist? Corpse jades are naturally born in the world. Corpse martial artists absorb corpse jades to increase their cultivation. Corpse martial artists are not afraid of the death chi in corpse jades and can absorb it endlessly. Their cultivation is not limited by the heavens. As long as there are enough corpse jades, their cultivation can increase infinitely." Yi Xing let out a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. If it was something from a corpse martial artist's body, then it would be disgusting. The world is so big, nothing is too strange. To be able to give birth to a treasure like corpse jade, it is really strange." Yang Gang nodded and said, "It is indeed so. As long as you can think of it, there is nothing you can't see. The reason why corpse jades are formed is that the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is an excellent feng shui place. It can absorb the power of the stars and gather it under the ground. Some of the feng shui places have even more star power and will condense into a solid form. The better the feng shui of the feng shui, the more star power it can condense, and the higher the quality of the corpse jades." Yi Xing couldn't help but ask, "Since corpse jades are born under the ground, how do we find them?" Yang Gang smiled and said, "First, observe the terrain of the mountain. Only some of the feng shui places have corpse jades. Second, track corpse martial artists. Corpse martial artists can't cultivate on their own. Strictly speaking, corpse jades are treasures given to them by the heavens for cultivation. That's why they are called corpse jades. Corpse martial artists have a strong sense for corpse jades. As long as a corpse jade is formed, corpse martial artists in a large area will be able to sense it. Corpse Dao martial artists were afraid of sunlight and liked to live underground. They were natural experts at digging holes. Below the Sky Corpse mountain range, there were caves dug by corpse Dao martial artists everywhere, especially in the areas with corpse jade. There were even more underground caves that extended in all directions. Therefore, as long as we can determine the approximate location of the corpse jade, there's no need to worry about not being able to find it. The corpse Dao martial artists have already dug a tunnel and can directly reach the corpse jade. Yi Xing imagined the situation in the heavenly corpse mountains. Soon he had a new reaction. Since corpse jades can improve the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists, wouldn't they have directly absorbed the corpse jades when they dug the cave next to the corpse jades? How could we, the martial artists who went later, have a chance to obtain them? Yang Gang carefully explained, corpse jades are divided into spirit level and profound level, and each level is further divided into low, middle, high, and extreme levels, which can be further divided into 12 levels. Among them, low-grade spirit level was effective for 1-star to 5-star martial saints, mid-grade spirit level was effective for 5-star to 9-star martial saints, high-grade spirit level and top-grade spirit level were effective for 1-star to 5-star martial saints, and 5-star to 9-star martial saints, respectively. If you want to divide it more precisely, take spirit level high level for example, the 7th, 8th, and 9th levels are all spirit level high level. Among them, the 7th level corresponds to 1-star and 2-star martial saints, the 8th level corresponds to 3-star and 4-star martial saints, and the 9th level corresponds to 5-star martial saints. Only when the grade of the corpse jade corresponded to the cultivation level could the absorption effect be maximized. For example, a 5-stars enlightened master could only absorb corpse jades of the 9th grade or above of the spirit grade to have the greatest effect on cultivation. If they absorbed corpse jades of the 7th or 8th level, although they were also spirit level high level, the effect would be much worse. If they absorbed corpse jades of the 7th level and below, there would be no effect at all. Corpse Dao martial artists were the same. When their cultivation reached a certain level, the corpse jade they absorbed would have to be of a certain level, or else there would be no effect. However, when the corpse jade was just formed, it would be the lowest level, the first level of the spirit level. Then, it would need time to accumulate and condense more and more star power to gradually improve its quality. The final level of the corpse jade depends on the level of the eye of the storm. Once the corpse jade was formed, some corpse Dao martial artists would sense it. But corpse Dao martial artists already have a certain cultivation, and the level of the corpse jade is not enough to improve their cultivation. Think about it, what would the result be? Yi Xing immediately reacted and said, of course it would be to guard the corpse jade and let the quality of the corpse jade increase enough to improve their cultivation, and then absorb it. I understand the quality of the corpse jade hasn't reached the requirement of corpse Dao martial artists. At this time, we normal martial artists can find it and take it, but Yi Xing's tone changed as he said, since the quality of the corpse jade hasn't reached the requirement of corpse Dao martial artists, it means that the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists is higher than the corresponding cultivation of the corpse jade. If the corpse jade hasn't been absorbed by the corpse Dao martial artists when it reaches the 7th level of the spirit level, it means that the corpse Dao martial artists guarding the corpse jade are at least at the 3rd level of the Star Gang realm. If the corpse jade hasn't been absorbed when it reaches the 8th level of the spirit level, it means that the corpse Dao martial artists are at least at the 5th level of the Star Gang realm. In short, the cultivation of corpse Dao martial artists is higher than the corresponding cultivation of corpse jade. Yi Xing paused and finally concluded, with our cultivation, we need to absorb the corpse jade of the upper level of the spirit level. The corpse Dao martial artists we have to deal with are at least at the 3rd level of the sage level, or even higher. This is a dangerous job. Yang Gang smiled and said, with our strength, we can only get the corpse jade of the 7th level of the spirit level at most, and the guarding corpse Dao martial artists must be at least at the 3rd or 4th level of the sage level. If they are above the 5th level of the sage level, then we can't eat them. Corpse Dao martial artists are different from us normal martial artists. Their bodies are very strong, like copper skin and iron bones, but they are less flexible. So, once we meet a corpse-style martial artist that we can't deal with, it's no problem to escape. Along the way, Yang Gang explained in detail how to find corpse jades and how to deal with corpse-style martial artists. He also talked about the origin of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. According to legend, the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was a big battlefield in the ancient times. There was a large-scale war here, and countless martial artists died. Corpses were everywhere, piled up into mountains, and blood flowed like rivers. Because of the countless martial artists who died here, the blood dyed the ground red, and the death aura emitted by the countless corpses shrouded the whole area. Since then, this large area became a forbidden area for the living. Ordinary martial artists couldn't survive here. With the birth of corpse jades, the corpses in this area came back to life and became the living dead. Thus, the name Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was born, and it became a paradise for the dead. The silver-winged demonic condor flew for half a month and entered the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range from the north of the true Xian domain. After another 3 days, the two arrived at a city in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range, Wu City. Every year during winter and spring, the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range was full of yin qi, and the death aura shrouded the whole area. Even the border of the mountain range was not easy to enter. At that time, the Wu City was also shrouded by the death aura, and no martial artists came. However, during summer and autumn, the yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range weakened, and the yin qi in the border area dissipated. A large number of martial artists would enter the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to search for corpse jades. When there were many martial artists, there would naturally be exchanges. The Wu City was one of the exchange points for martial artists in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. After years of development, the Wu City gradually developed into a city. Every year, there would only be people in the city during the summer and autumn. The yin qi in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range is heavy. If you go deep, you won't be able to stay for long. However, the purple sun pill can dissolve the yin qi. Therefore, the purple sun pill is an essential item in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. This kind of pill has no use in normal times, and is only needed in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. Therefore, only the exchange points in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range have the purple sun pill for sale. Yang Gang explained to Yi Xing the necessity of coming to the Wu City. After entering the Wu City, Yi Xing found that the martial artists coming and going were at least astral realm enlightened masters. Moreover, most of them were mid-level enlightened masters. As for exalted masters, they were the least in number. Yi Xing only saw one. Enlightened masters used the astral realm to seal their veins, and their aura wouldn't leak out. Therefore, outsiders couldn't see their cultivation base. However, Yi Xing's superbrain scan allowed him to see through everyone's cultivation base. While walking, Yang Gang explained, the area around the Wu City produces mostly upper spirit level corpse jades. Therefore, those who come here are mostly mid-level enlightened masters. You see, none of the low-level enlightened masters are walking alone. They are all teaming up with mid-level enlightened masters. Yi Xing looked around and found that it was true. Although the Wu City wasn't big, the number of enlightened masters that Yi Xing saw was in the hundreds, and this was only a small part of the total. The total number of enlightened masters in the city might be several thousand. Moreover, this was only the enlightened masters that were in the Wu City today. Some of them had already entered the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range, while others were still coming. Yi Xing estimated that there might be tens of thousands of enlightened masters coming and going in this small Wu City, or even more. There weren't that many enlightened masters in the entire true Xian domain. The enlightened masters coming and going in the Wu City didn't only come from the true Xian domain, but also from other regions. After walking out of the true Xian domain, Yi Xing immediately felt that the world had become much bigger. Although there were many enlightened masters in the Nine Heavens City, most of them were martial saints. Enlightened masters were relatively superior existences. However, in the Wu City, the enlightened masters that came and went were all astral realm enlightened masters. Enlightened masters were just like ordinary martial artists. They were everywhere. Yang Gang said, "A purple sun pill can normally keep one's body from being corroded by yin qi for 3 days. If it's in an area with heavy yin qi, the duration will be shorter. Aside from the purple sun pill, you must also have plenty of detoxification spiritual pills and healing spiritual pills. It's very common to be injured by corpse Dao martial artists in the Heavenly Corpse mountain range. Corpse Dao martial artists use their bodies as weapons. They have corpse poison in their bodies. If they don't have detoxification spiritual pills, they will be assimilated into corpse Dao martial artists and become living dead. Detoxification spiritual pills and healing spiritual pills are essential." Chapter 432. Yang Gang brought Yi Xing to an elixir store called Soaring Dragon Pavilion. Yang Gang said, "Wu City is closer to the Azure Dragon Empire. Most of the businesses in Wu City belong to the Azure Dragon Empire. This Soaring Dragon Pavilion is the same." Yi Xing nodded and entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion with Yang Gang. Beside the true Xian domain, there are 2 upper domains, the Qingyu domain and the Azure Dragon domain. The 2 upper domains are ruled by the Qingyu Empire and the Azure Dragon Empire respectively. They are both 2-star powers. In fact, Wu City is closer to the true Xian domain than the Azure Dragon domain. However, there is no power in the true Xian domain that has the strength to control Wu City. Those who have the strength to control Wu City are at least 2-star powers. Among the 2-star powers, the Azure Dragon Empire is the closest. Naturally, most of the businesses in Wu City belong to the Azure Dragon Empire. Although Wu City only has people in summer and autumn every year, it can bring a large amount of income to the Azure Dragon Empire every year. The income of Wu City's businesses is higher than any of the 9 upper sects of the true Xian domain. From this, one can see the difference between a 1-star power and a 2-star power. Wu City is only a small part of the Azure Dragon Empire's businesses. However, it can defeat all the 1-star sections. What do the 2 of you need? As soon as Yi Xing and Yang Gang entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, a cultivator came to greet them. This is an 8-star martial saint with a noble cultivation. In Wu City, only the staff of these shops are not real people, but they are at least nobles. Yang Gang said, "Purple sun pills, mid and high-grade spiritual level detoxification spiritual pills, healing spiritual pills." The 8-star martial saint immediately beamed with joy. The customers who enter the Heavenly Corpse mountain range buy a lot of elixirs. This kind of business is the most profitable. The 8-star martial saint said, "Purple sun pills are 2,000 star crystals each. Mid-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills are 20,000 star crystals each. High-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills are 200,000 star crystals each." Yang Gang said to Yi Xing, "In order to avoid any accidents, prepare as many elixirs as possible." Then he said to the cultivator, "I want 30 purple sun pills, 10 mid-grade spiritual level detoxification and healing spiritual pills, and 2 high-grade spiritual level pills." The total value of these pills was 1.4 million star crystals, which was equivalent to 14,000 mid-grade star crystals. If one person bought the elixir, it would cost 14,000 mid-grade star crystals. If 1,000 people bought the elixir, it would cost 14 million mid-grade star crystals. Although this included the cost, even if the profit was only 20 to 30%, the Soaring Dragon Pavilion would still earn a huge amount of star crystals every year. It was much better than a middle-grade star crystal vein. The Falling Star sect had dug out a mid-rank star crystal lode and was considered quite wealthy among 1-star sects, but compared to a 2-star sect, it was as poor as dregs. The wealth of a 2-star empire was unimaginable. The receptionist looked at Yi Xing. Yi Xing said, "Anyway, I'll be able to use it in the future. Give me double the price." Yang Gang knew that the Falling Star sect had dug out a low-rank star crystal lode and that Yi Xing had a lot of star crystals on him. He was very rich, so he wasn't surprised by Yi Xing's purchasing power. However, what he didn't know was that the Falling Star sect had also dug out a mid-rank star crystal lode. Yi Xing's wealth was much higher than he had imagined. The total value of the elixir that Yang Gang bought was 1.4 4 million star crystals. If Yi Xing doubled the price, it would be 8 million star crystals. The two of them added up to 2 million star crystals. This was a huge business deal. The receptionist immediately beamed with joy and led Yi Xing and Yang Gang to the VIP area. Soon, the Soaring Dragon Pavilion delivered the elixir, and Yi Xing and Yang Gang paid the star crystals. The two of them walked outside. Before they reached the door, they saw the guards on both sides of the door suddenly kneel down on one knee. They lowered their heads and said in unison, "Greetings, Ninth Prince." Immediately after, a young man wearing a black robe with dragon patterns walked in from outside. Beside him was a black-clothed woman. There were also a few mid-level perfected persons following behind them. Inside the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, the cultivators all moved to the sides. The ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire was an incredible figure. Yi Xing was also pulled to the side by Yang Gang. The Azure Dragon Empire ruled the entire Azure Dragon region. It was the imperial power of the family clans. The status of a prince was much higher than that of a sect's godson or young sect master. Even if this was only the ninth prince, his status in the Azure Dragon Empire was not below that of a high-level astral realm cultivator. Furthermore, the ninth prince was the ninth son of the Azure Dragon Empire's emperor, not his status. Yang Gang was more knowledgeable than Yi Xing. He knew that the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire was a 9-star yellow fate. He was extremely outstanding among the princes and was highly valued by the Azure Dragon Empire's emperor. His status was very high, and he was ranked in the top 3 among the princes. Yi Xing watched as the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire walked into the Soaring Dragon Pavilion. His gaze then fell on the black-clothed woman who was half a step behind the ninth prince. The woman in black was wearing tight black clothes with a few black spiders embroidered on it. Her figure was very hot, and the exquisite curves of her body were perfectly outlined. Especially the clothes covering her towering breasts, which had a vertical crack about the length of a palm. Her towering breasts stretched out the crack, revealing 2 snow-white hemispheres. Yi Xing was surprised. This black-clothed woman was actually the Earth Fiend sect's Black Widow. Yang Gang was also very surprised. His gaze froze. How did the Black Widow get together with the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire? Yi Xing and Yang Gang were puzzled, but the actual situation was very simple. The Black Widow and 2 other Astral Realm disciples of the Earth Fiend sect were brought by a 4-star enlightened master to the Sky Corpse mountain range to gain experience. They coincidentally met the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire in Wu City. Everyone had their own preferences. The Black Widow was an extremely coquettish woman, so naturally, there were people who admired her. The ninth prince took a liking to the Black Widow at first glance. His interest in women was very similar to Yi Wenxia's. They both liked extremely beautiful and coquettish women. The Black Widow's coquettish aura overflowed from her words and expression. She had won the ninth prince's favor. As for the ninth prince's identity, he was a prince of the Azure Dragon Empire. He directly reported his identity, and the Black Widow happily left with the ninth prince. The Earth Fiend sect's elder also happily gave the Black Widow to the ninth prince. The Earth Fiend sect was only a second-rate power in the true Xian region. Unexpectedly, they were able to receive the ninth prince of the Azure Dragon Empire. This made the Earth Fiend sect's cultivators extremely happy. The Black Widow was only half a step behind the ninth prince. She had a smile on her face and her eyes were filled with love. The joy in her heart was clearly visible on her face. When she entered the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, her gaze immediately swept across the cultivators inside. When she saw Yang Gang, a familiar face from the true Xin region, she raised her head like a proud peacock. As for Yi Xing, he was wearing a mask and his appearance had changed. She did not notice it. The ninth prince's group passed through the first floor of the pavilion and directly went to the second floor. Only after the ninth prince went upstairs did the cultivators on the first floor begin to move. As expected of the Azure Dragon Empire's prince. He is indeed handsome and talented. He is already a 5-star sage at such a young age. His future is truly limitless. Immediately, many cultivators in the Soaring Dragon Pavilion began to discuss. Those who dared to discuss the Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince in the Soaring Dragon Pavilion were naturally praises. Yi Xing and Yang Gang exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with astonishment as they continued to walk out. After leaving the Soaring Dragon Pavilion, Yang Gang said in astonishment, "The world is truly filled with all sorts of strange things." The Black Widow was actually able to walk together with the Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince. How strange. Yi Xing smiled faintly and said, "Everyone has their own preferences. This ninth prince might like someone like the Black Widow. It is not strange for the two of them to walk together. However, this ninth prince seems to be younger than Brother Yang. Yet he is already a 5-star sage. The princes of the Empire are indeed extraordinary." Yang Gang introduced, "The Azure Dragon Empire's ninth prince is surnamed Long and given name Xiao. His heavenly fate is as high as the 9 stars yellow fate. He became a 5-star sage at the age of 22. He is extremely outstanding among the many princes of the Azure Dragon Empire. His position is very high." Yang Gang let out a sigh and continued, "Sigh. 9 stars yellow fate. Regardless of heavenly fate or origin, the princes of the Empire can't be compared to him. The Azure Dragon Empire is rich in resources. He can easily cultivate to the 9 stars sage realm and become a half-step venerable. If he has a great opportunity, he might even break through the astral reaching realm and become a venerable. His future is bright." Yi Xing didn't say anything. Some people were born ordinary, while others were born into the limelight. No one could say for sure. Yang Gang felt that Long Zhao's origin was good. He felt that he couldn't compare with Long Xiao. However, compared to the majority of the martial artists in the True Xian region, Yang Gang was already an existence envied by thousands of martial artists. There were countless martial artists who struggled their whole lives but couldn't even reach Yang Gang's feet. Regardless of the world, life was cruel. Fate was like shackles that locked all living things. Only an extremely small number of people could defy the heavens and change their fate and break through the shackles of fate. Yi Xing was one of them. Although his origin couldn't be compared with Long Zhao's, and even with Yang Gang's, he never envied other people's origin. What Yi Xing needed to do was to work hard and cultivate diligently. Step by step, he would reach the peak of martial Dao. No matter what the other person's origin was, he would surpass them. The two didn't stay in Wu City. After buying the pills, they directly left Wu City and entered the Sky Corpse mountain range to search for corpse jades. Every year, there would be a huge number of martial artists entering the Sky Corpse mountain range. The corpse jades near Wu City had already been found by martial artists. Only by entering the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range could one hope to find corpse jades. The silver-winged demonic eagle could travel 100,000 li per day. After leaving Wu City, they flew for 3 days into the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range. Only then did Yi Xing and Yang Gang stop their journey and start searching for corpse jades. The deeper one went into the Sky Corpse mountain range, the higher the chance of encountering corpse jades. However, it was also easy to encounter corpse jades of high quality and encounter terrifying corpse Dao martial artists. Therefore, after traveling 100,000 li from Wu City, the two stopped to avoid encountering difficult dangers. Chapter 433. Ad 11. In the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range. Underground. Bang. A first-level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist was sent flying by Yi Xing's punch, crashing heavily into the cave wall. A huge hole appeared in the cave wall, and a large part of it collapsed. The corpse Dao martial artist was buried by countless rocks. Boom. Just when Yi Xing thought that the corpse path martial artist was dead, there was a loud explosion and a large number of rocks shot towards him. The corpse Dao martial artist rushed out from the pile of rocks again. The corpse Dao martial artist's face was pale, and his clothes were tattered. His exposed skin emitted a dim light. Yi Xing's punch earlier had already broken one of his arms and caused cracks to appear on his body. However, he was still as lively as a dragon or a tiger. A sword light flashed, and the corpse Dao martial artist's head flew up. Yang Gang put away the upper-grade spiritual weapon in his hand and said, "Not only are corpse Dao martial artists strong, but they are also living dead. They can move no matter how heavily injured they are, but their bodies are still controlled by their consciousness. You can kill them by cutting off their heads or destroying their minds." Yi Xing glanced at the sword in Yang Gang's hand and said, "I didn't expect your sword skills to be so powerful." Yang Gang smiled faintly and said, "Every martial artist doesn't just practice one set of martial arts. They always have something up their sleeves." In other words, Yang Gang's sword skills were not inferior to palm skills, and might even be better. Yi Xing nodded in agreement. His gaze shifted to a corpse jade on the stone wall at the end of the hall and said, "It took us 3 days to find the first corpse jade. Unfortunately, it's only a 6th grade spiritual grade jade, and it has no effect on our cultivation." A 6th grade spiritual grade jade was a middle grade spiritual grade jade, corresponding to the 5th level to the 9th level astral vortex realm. It was an excellent treasure for a 9-star martial saint. However, Yi Xing and Yang Gang were both astral realm sages, and they needed a high-grade spiritual grade jade. Yang Gang said, "The price of a 6th grade spirit grade corpse jade is also not cheap. It can be exchanged for tens of thousands of star crystals. We can earn back some of the pill money." Yang Gang stepped forward and took the 6th rank spirit grade corpse jade, saying, "Let's continue to search. Corpse jades are usually gathered in the caves of Feng Shui treasured lands. If we can find the first corpse jade, we may find the second one." On the 4th day, the two of them found another corpse jade, but it was only a 5th grade spiritual grade. The corpse martial artist guarding it was still at the 1st level of the astral realm, so the two of them easily killed him. Although this area was famous for producing high-grade spirit-level corpse jades, most of them were middle-grade spirit-level corpse jades. Just like the area that produced top-grade spirit-level corpse jades, most of them were high-grade spirit-level corpse jades. However, this area had good feng shui. Most of the corpse jades could be upgraded to spiritual high-grade by absorbing the power of stars. Therefore, the corpse martial artists guarding the area were basically at Astral Gang realm. Another 2 days passed. On the 6th day, the two of them found another corpse jade. It was of the 6th rank of the spirit grade, still of the middle rank of the spirit grade. However, the corpse Dao martial artist guarding the corpse jade was at the 3rd level of the astral realm. Whoosh! With a flash of sword light, Yang Gang's sword cut through the corpse Dao martial artist's neck. In an instant, sparks flew. When the high-grade spirit weapon sword collided with the corpse Dao martial artist's neck, the sound of metal clashing rang out. When the sparks disappeared, the corpse Dao martial artist's eyes were filled with ferocity. With a roar, he crossed his arms and pounced at Yang Gang like lightning. The last 2 times, Yang Gang had beheaded the 1st level of the astral realm corpse Dao martial artist with a single strike. But this time, Yang Gang's sword only cut through a 1/3 of the corpse Dao martial artist's neck. Corpse Dao martial artists had sturdy bodies. The higher their cultivation, the stronger their bodies would be. The 3rd level of the astral realm was much stronger than the 1st level of the astral realm. Die! As the corpse Dao martial artist pounced at Yang Gang, Yi Xing coldly shouted. He raised the black dragon spear in his hand and thrust it forward. Dark spear light burst out. Dark spirit spear art, spiritual flash. The spear light arrived, the spear tip arrived. The dark spirit spear instantly pierced through the corpse Dao martial artist's forehead. Yi Xing's spear had a great penetrating power. Most of the spear tip sank into the corpse Dao martial artist's head and the spear tip came out from the back. The corpse Dao martial artist's head was instantly pierced to pieces. The corpse Dao martial artist died. The black dragon spear shook and instantly withdrew. The corpse Dao martial artist fell to the ground, dead. Yi Xing said, "What a sturdy body. In terms of strength, it's even better than mine. If it was a 4th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, I might not have been able to kill him." Yang Gang took the 6th grade spirit level corpse jade and said, "Fortunately, we can even kill a 4th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist. If it was a 5th level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, we wouldn't have been able to kill him." Yi Xing said, "We have 2 people. One of us can attack the corpse Dao martial artist and draw him away for a while. The other can take advantage of this to seize the corpse Jade. Even if it was a 5th-level Astral Realm corpse Dao martial artist, we still have a chance of obtaining a corpse Jade. In 6 days they had obtained 3 corpse Jades. This was quite good, but unfortunately, they were all medium-grade spirit level. But the 2 of them hadn't encountered any danger and had easily obtained 3 corpse Jades. In terms of safety, this was quite good. For the next 3 days, the 2 of them still hadn't found any corpse Jades. On the 10th day, the 2 of them found an 8th-grade spirit level corpse Jade. The corpse Jade's star power fluctuations were strong. As long as one approached a certain range, they would be able to sense its grade. An 8th-grade spirit-level corpse Jade had a great effect on their cultivation. The 2 of them were overjoyed. An 8th-grade spirit-level corpse Jade corresponded to a 3-star or 4-star sage. Since the corpse Dao martial artist hadn't absorbed the corpse Jade, it could be seen that the corpse Dao martial artist's cultivation was at least 5th-level astral realm. The corners of Yi Xing and Yang Gang's lips curled up. They were in a good mood. If it was a 5th or 6th-level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist, one of them could draw him away while the other took the corpse Jade. However, when the 2 of them arrived at the cavern where the corpse Jade was, their expressions changed greatly. The corpse Dao martial artist guarding the corpse Jade was actually at 7th-level astral realm. 7th-level astral realm was the peak of corpse Dao martial artists. When the corpse Dao martial artist's aura erupted, Yi Xing and Yang Gang's hearts trembled. Retreat! The 2 of them shouted at the same time. The moment the corpse Dao martial artist's aura erupted, they quickly retreated. In terms of speed, Yi Xing was faster than Yang Gang, so he retreated even faster. Whoosh! The corpse Dao martial artist took a step forward and stepped out of the cavern. His speed was even faster than Yi Xing's, and he caught up with Yang Gang in the blink of an eye. The corpse Dao martial artist opened his 5 fingers. His 5 black fingernails were like 5 sharp blades that exploded with astral light. The claw pressed down and clawed at Yang Gang's head. Yang Gang was horrified. He put away the upper-grade spiritual weapon in his hand and raised his palms to the sky. Big Dipper Palm, Astral Suppression. A dazzling astral light chi shield immediately enveloped Yang Gang. In terms of attack power, Yang Gang's sword technique was better than his palm technique. In terms of defense, this move, Astral Suppression, had reached the pinnacle. With the astral light chi shield covering his entire body, ordinary attacks were almost impenetrable. However, the claw of the corpse Dao martial artist wasn't an ordinary attack. It was equivalent to the full-strength attack of a 7th-level astral realm master. The claw clawed at the astral light chi shield, and the sturdy astral light chi shield was broken like tofu. The 5 black fingernails were like sharp blades and instantly clawed at Yang Gang. Fortunately, Yang Gang knew that he couldn't block this move. As he blocked, he tilted his head and dodged to the side. The claw of the corpse Dao martial artist didn't hit Yang Gang's head, but the claw deeply grasped Yang Gang's shoulder. Yang Gang instantly let out a scream. He couldn't move as the corpse Dao martial artist clasped his hand. The difference in strength between them was too great. Yang Gang couldn't even block one move. The corpse Dao martial artist clasped Yang Gang's shoulder with one hand and chuckled. His other hand clawed at Yang Gang's head again. Yang Gang's eyes were instantly filled with despair. At this moment, the sects experts weren't by his side. There was only Yi Xing by his side, and his opponent was a corpse Dao martial artist who was equivalent to a 7th-level astral realm. Who could save him? Yang Gang closed his eyes, thinking that he was going to die. At the same time he roared, "Run!" Just as Yang Gang roared, he immediately sensed another terrifying power pouncing toward him, causing him to be startled. Sun Flame Spear Art, Chasing the Sun. Yi Xing used the fire astral form and erupted his strength to the limit. He attacked with his spear. This spear was even faster than lightning. In an instant, it had arrived in front of the corpse Dao martial artist, which was beyond his expectations. Clang, with a loud explosion, the spear tip pierced the corpse Dao martial artist's body. There was a loud sound of metal clashing and sparks flew. Such a terrifying spear didn't cause much damage to the corpse-style martial artist. It only left a shallow mark. A 7th-level astral realm corpse-style martial artist's body was almost as sturdy as a high-grade spiritual weapon. Although the spear tip didn't penetrate the corpse-style martial artist's body, the power of Yi Xing's spear was terrifying. The corpse-style martial artist couldn't bear the force of the spear and immediately retreated a few steps. As the corpse-style martial artist retreated, he stared fiercely at Yi Xing. The claw that was originally going for Yang Gang's head was immediately swung at Yi Xing. The 5 fingernails slashed out 5 streaks of black astral light that instantly flashed across Yi Xing's body, leaving behind 5 claw marks. Yi Xing felt a heart-wrenching pain. At this moment, Yi Xing didn't have time to think. Taking advantage of the corpse-style martial artist's retreat, he grabbed Yang Gang. The azure cloud wings appeared on his back, and he quickly escaped like a ray of light. Boom! There was an explosion behind him. The corpse-style martial artist had caught up and clawed a huge hole in the cave wall. If Yi Xing was half a beat slower, he would have been caught by the claw. Both he and Yang Gang would have been slammed into the cave wall and died. Flapping the azure cloud wings, Yi Xing pushed his speed to the limit and shuttled through the cave. The corpse-style martial artist chased for a while but couldn't catch up in the end. He was worried that the corpse jade would be stolen, so he could only let out an unwilling roar and give up the chase. Yi Xing ran for a while and only stopped when he was sure that the corpse-style martial artist wasn't chasing after him. The 5 claw marks on his chest were already rotten and emitted a foul smell. Yi Xing immediately took a high-grade spiritual level detoxification spirit pill and a mid-grade spiritual level healing spirit pill. He looked at Yang Gang. Yang Gang was poisoned more deeply than him. His body was already black. Chapter 434. The 8th day has been changed to the 6th day, and the 12th day has been changed to the 10th day. Yi Xing immediately took out a spirit-level high-grade detoxification spirit pill and fed it to Yang Gang. Yi Xing wasn't deeply poisoned. After taking a spirit-level high-grade detoxification spirit pill, the 5 claw marks on his chest quickly faded away. His injuries weren't serious. A spirit-level mid-grade healing spirit pill was enough for him to recover quickly. Yang Gang's corpse poison was much more serious than Yi Xing's. After taking a mid-grade detoxification spirit pill, although his complexion improved, it was still full of black gas. Seeing this, Yi Xing took out a spirit-level high-grade detoxification spirit pill and a healing spirit pill and fed them to Yang Gang. Spirit-level high-grade detoxification and healing spirit pills were worth 200,000 star crystals each. Yang Gang ate 3 of them in one go. The black gas on his body finally faded away, and his injuries quickly recovered. I didn't expect you to come and save me. I didn't expect you to save me from a 7th-level astral realm corpse-style martial artist. Thank you. The corpse poison in Yang Gang's body weakened. He woke up from his nearly unconscious state and thanked Yi Xing. There was surprise in his voice. Yi Xing patted Yang Gang's shoulder and said, "We're companions. How can I not save you?" Since I dared to help, I naturally had a lot of confidence. If there was no hope, I wouldn't have rushed to my death. You're deeply poisoned, and your injuries are more serious. It'll be difficult for you to recover in a short time. First, circulate your qi and adjust your breathing. Yang Gang nodded and closed his eyes to circulate his qi. The remaining poison was difficult to expel. It took more than a day for Yang Gang to completely expel the remaining corpse poison in his body and fully recover from his injuries. The two changed to another area and continued to search for corpse jades. After experiencing danger, the two of them were much more vigilant. One day later, the two of them found another spirit-level mid-grade corpse jade. It was only a 4th-grade spirit-level corpse-style martial artist, guarding it was a 9th-level astral realm corpse-style martial artist. A spirit-level mid-grade corpse jade. It's not bad for our sect's disciples to cultivate. Although the spirit-level mid-grade corpse jade had no effect on Yi Xing and Yang Gang's cultivation, the two of them didn't mind. The 9th-level star vortex realm corpse-style martial artist was easily killed by the two of them, and his 4th-level spirit-grade corpse jade was taken away. On the 15th day, half a month after the two left Wu City, they finally welcomed their first big harvest. The spirit-level Corpse Dao martial artist guarding the Corpse Dao martial artist was a 4th-level Astral Realm Corpse Dao martial artist. Corpse Jades were spirit-level high-grade, and were very useful for their cultivation. Moreover, the two of them could deal with the Corpse Dao martial artists guarding them. Moon break moon. The sword light slashed out. The light was resplendent, like a crescent moon, revealing a sharp and terrifying aura. The Corpse Dao martial artist struck out with his palms, shattering the sword aura. The two high-grade spirit weapon swords collided with each other, emitting a crisp sound. 2 sword marks appeared on the Corpse Dao martial artist's hands. Black blood flowed out, but these were only superficial wounds. The Corpse Dao martial artist didn't feel pain. He shot forward towards Yang Gang, his palms striking out again and again. Bang bang bang. Even though Yang Gang had used his astrology, he was still forced back by the Corpse Dao martial artist's attacks. After all, the Corpse Dao martial artist could withstand Yang Gang's attacks, but Yang Gang didn't dare to be hit by the Corpse Dao martial artist. Sun Flame Spear Art. Incinerate. Yi Xing used his flame astral avatar. The black dragon spear swallowed flames as it thrust out. The violent flame energy condensed into a mass of astral light from the spear tip. When it struck the Corpse Dao martial artist, it suddenly exploded, shaking the heavens. The Corpse Dao martial artist was sent flying by Yi Xing's spear. The terrifying strength caused the Corpse Dao martial artist's chest to cave in. Bang! The Corpse Dao martial artist smashed into the cave wall. With a loud bang, rubble flew everywhere and the ceiling caved in. A massive amount of earth and stone fell down, burying the Corpse Dao martial artist. Yi Xing was experienced enough to know that the Corpse Dao martial artist wouldn't be killed so easily. The super brain immediately scanned the position of the Corpse Dao martial artist and shot out another spear strike. Sunflame Spear Art. Chasing Sun. As the spear thrust out, the spear light drew out a dazzling white light that instantly pierced into the earth and stone. Yi Xing's spear point accurately pierced through the Corpse Dao martial artist's head, piercing through his mind and killing him. The black dragon spear flicked up and the Corpse Dao martial artist's corpse was lifted up. With a flick of the spear point, the corpse was flung away. Yi Xing took back the black dragon spear. He looked at the 7th grade spirit-level Corpse Jade and smiled. This was his true harvest. Yang Gang took down the 7th rank spirit-level Corpse Jade and said, "An 8th rank spirit-level Corpse Jade is the best for my cultivation. You are a 2-star enlightened being, so a 7th rank spirit-level Corpse Jade is suitable for your cultivation." Yi Xing faintly smiled, not speaking. The cultivation method inheritance he practiced was the top-grade spirit-level Falling Star art, and he had already cultivated it to the 3rd level. Although his cultivation was lower than Yang Gang's by 2 boundaries, the intensity of his astral stars was no worse than Yang Gang's. For Yi Xing, only Corpse Jades of the 8th grade of the spirit grade and above would have the greatest effect on his cultivation. A 7th grade spirit-level Corpse Jade's effect was a bit worse. If he only needed 2 8th grade spirit-level Corpse Jades to make a breakthrough in Yi Xing's cultivation, then a 7th grade spirit-level Corpse Jade would require at least 6. In the following time, Yi Xing and Yang Gang continued to search for Corpse Jades. Most of the time, they found middle-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades, but occasionally they would find upper-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades. The guardians of upper-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades usually had high cultivation. The two had learned their lesson from the 7th-level Astral Realm Corpse martial artist. Whenever they found upper-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades, Yi Xing would be the vanguard. Once the Corpse martial artist was too strong, Yi Xing could escape immediately with the azure cloud wings. Time flew by and in the blink of an eye, the two had stayed in the depths of the Heavenly Corpse mountain range for more than a month and a half. In this month and a half, the two had a good harvest. In total, they had found 3 7th-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades, 6 6th-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades, 4 5th-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades, and 5 4th-grade spirit-level Corpse Jades. In addition, they had encountered other martial artist teams looking for Corpse Jades twice. The teams they met for the first time all changed their direction when they saw each other from afar, avoiding direct contact. The purpose of the teams in the Heavenly Corpse mountain range was to find corpse jades. Since they had stayed for a long time, they would more or less have corpse jades on them. If different teams met, it was easy to kill and rob. Yi Xing and Yang Gang were afraid of the first team, so they naturally changed their direction from afar and avoided direct contact. However, the second team they met went straight for Yi Xing and Yang Gang. There were a total of 5 people in the team. 2 4-star Venerable Masters, 1 3-star Venerable Master, and 2 2-star Venerable Masters. Compared to Yi Xing and Yang Gang, who had 1 2-star Venerable Master and 1 4-star Venerable Master, they looked much stronger. Yi Xing and Yang Gang changed their direction when they saw the other team from afar, but the other team chased after them. Their purpose was obvious. The other team wanted to kill Yi Xing and Yang Gang and take away their treasures. The end result was obvious. The 5 of them were all killed by Yi Xing and Yang Gang. Unfortunately, this team should have just entered the Heavenly Corpse mountain range not long ago, so they didn't have many corpse jades. They only had 1 6th grade spirit level corpse jade. The 2 of them got a lot of elixirs to make up for the elixirs they had consumed before, and 2 middle grade storage rings. One day after a month and a half, Yi Xing and Yang Gang found an 8th grade spirit level corpse jade again. While they were surprised, they were also extra vigilant. The last time they found an 8th grade spirit level corpse jade, they encountered a 7th level astral realm corpse martial artist. The 2 of them suffered heavy losses, and Yang Gang almost lost his life. Yang Gang stayed in the same place, while Yi Xing used the dark aura of the hyperfocus realm to cover his body and hide his aura. He quietly approached the hall where the corpse jade was. Soon, Yi Xing came back with a pleasantly surprised expression on his face. He said, "We're really lucky this time. The corpse martial artist guarding the 8th grade spirit grade corpse jade is at the 5th level of the astral realm." Yang Gang's eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "Hee hee, we can finally get our first 8th grade spirit level corpse jade." Yi Xing pointed to a cave and said, "You go there and hide. I'll lure the corpse martial artist away, and then you go and get the corpse jade. Go around the cave and we'll meet at the entrance." Attracting the corpse martial artist was a dangerous move, but Yi Xing was fast. Of course, Yi Xing would do it. If Yang Gang went to attract the corpse martial artist, he wouldn't be able to get away. Yang Gang nodded and walked to the cave to hide. Yi Xing still used the dark aura to hide his aura and moved forward quietly. A 5th level astral realm corpse martial artist was obviously not as sensitive as a 7th level astral realm corpse martial artist. Yi Xing came up quietly, so the corpse martial artist didn't notice Yi Xing's arrival. Yi Xing took out the startling sky bow and purple gold arrow from afar and aimed at the corpse martial artist. "Draw the bow and shoot. Fire arrow art, burning arrow." Whoosh! The arrow pierced through the air with the burning fire of death and instantly shot between the corpse martial artist's eyebrows. Clank! A crisp sound like metal clashing rang out. The arrow nailed into the corpse martial artist's head, but it only went in about an inch. The corpse martial artist screamed. Obviously, the arrow had damaged the corpse martial artist's brain, but because it didn't go in deep enough, the corpse martial artist wasn't seriously injured. While screaming, the corpse martial artist grabbed and pulled out the purple gold arrow. His figure shot toward Yi Xing like lightning. After shooting the arrow, Yi Xing saw that the arrow had only penetrated 1 inch into the corpse martial artist's body. He knew that the corpse martial artist was lightly injured. He was surprised by the sturdiness of the corpse martial artist's body, so he immediately retreated. The azure cloud wings appeared behind Yi Xing. Yi Xing's speed was extremely fast. In order to avoid the corpse martial artist giving up on chasing after him, Yi Xing deliberately controlled his speed so that he was only a little faster than the corpse martial artist. He also shot an arrow behind him from time to time. The corpse martial artist was furious. He screamed and chased after Yi Xing. Soon he was far away from the corpse jade's cave. Yang Gang walked out from another cave and quickly went to the corpse jade's cave to take the 8th level spirit grade corpse jade. The corpse path martial artist who was chasing Yixing suddenly let out an angry roar as he realized that the corpse jade had been stolen. He immediately gave up on chasing Yixing and rushed back. Chapter 435. As Yixing saw this, how could he allow the corpse path martial artist to chase after Yang Gang? He immediately chased after the corpse path martial artist. Sunflame spear art, chasing sun. With a flap of his azure cloud wings, Yixing's speed was like a bolt of lightning. He caught up to the corpse path martial artist and thrust out his spear. Clang! With the sound of metal striking metal, the corpse path martial artist was sent flying away by Yixing's spear. The corpse path martial artist was enraged. Just as he crashed into the cave wall and rocks were still falling down, he had already launched a counterattack at Yixing. Yixing was faster than him. If he didn't deal with Yixing, he wouldn't be able to chase after the other person who stole the corpse jade. Instead, he would be treated as a live target by Yixing. Although the corpse path martial artist's mortal body was tough and their defensive power was formidable, Yixing's striking power wasn't weak either. If Yixing continued attacking, the corpse path martial artist would surely die. Facing the corpse path martial artist's onslaught, Yixing grasped his spear and fiercely thrust it down. The longer it was, the stronger it was. Yixing used the black dragon spear to fight the corpse path martial artist. It wasn't easy for the corpse path martial artist to approach Yixing's body. Yixing completely erupted with his strength. His mortal body was displayed to the limit. Beneath the flame astral phenomenon, he was able to fight evenly with 5-star sage Yangba. The corpse path martial artist's defensive power and striking power were superior to Yangba's. But his agility was slightly inferior. As for speed, that was Yixing's strong point. Yixing used his speed to fiercely battle the corpse path martial artist. Although he was at a disadvantage, he didn't lose. For a time, the corpse path martial artist wasn't able to do anything to Yixing. This caused the corpse path martial artist to anxiously roar out again and again. He wanted to chase down the person who stole the corpse jade, but he was entangled by Yixing and couldn't leave. If he ignored Yixing, then with Yixing's speed, it would be impossible for the corpse path martial artist to throw Yixing off. Thus, even though he couldn't do anything to Yixing, the corpse path martial artist could only desperately attack Yixing with everything he had. Pung 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 pung. Pung 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 pung. The black dragon spear constantly collided with the corpse path martial artist's claws, causing loud explosions to ring out. Yixing's hands were numb from the vibrations, but he was always able to block the corpse path martial artist's attacks. The battle between the two of them grew longer and longer, and soon, they had exchanged over 100 moves. Yixing reckoned that Yang Gang should have already circled to the entrance of the cave from the other side, and used his incineration to force back the corpse path martial artist with all his might. Then the azure cloud wings appeared behind him, and he flew towards the entrance of the cave at full speed. How could the corpse path martial artist give up when an 8th grade spirit level corpse jade was stolen? He roared out again and again as he chased after Lin Ming. Yixing's speed was fast. It didn't take long before he arrived at the entrance. As he left the cave, he saw Yang Gang waiting on the back of the silver-winged demon eagle. Yixing flew onto the silver-winged demon eagle's back. He shouted, "Let's go! That corpse path martial artist is chasing after us. We have to go to a sunny area and throw him off." In the Heavenly Corpse mountain range, most areas were covered in dark clouds and the yin energy was heavy. But there were still areas where sunlight could be seen. These areas were forbidden zones for corpse path martial artists. After wandering through this area for over a month, the two of them were very familiar with where there was sunlight. Under Yixing's orders, the silver-winged demon eagle soared into the skies and flew towards a sunny area. The silver-winged demon eagle flew for over 10 miles before the corpse path martial artist chased after it. Corpse path martial artists had strong bodies. They didn't cultivate astral energy and couldn't use astral energy to condense wings to fly. However, their speed wasn't slow. The corpse path martial artist leaped several hundred meters from the ground, reaching the silver-winged demon eagle's flying height. He chased after the silver-winged demon eagle. He leaped over 1,000 meters. His body broke through the speed of sound, and the sound of space shattering could be heard. If the corpse jade hadn't been taken away, the corpse path martial artist wouldn't have chased them too far. However, the corpse jade was already in their hands. The corpse path martial artist naturally wouldn't give up. Even though Yang Gang had already stored the corpse jade in his storage ring and its aura couldn't leak out, the corpse jade's aura still lingered on his body. The corpse path martial artist had already set his sights on Yi Xing and Yang Gang. If he didn't kill them and take back the corpse jade, he wouldn't give up. Unless the two of them could escape to a place where the corpse path martial artist couldn't go. There was a sunny area 100 miles away. With the silver-winged demon eagle's speed, it wouldn't take long for them to reach it. Soon, the silver-winged demon eagle carried Yi Xing and Yang Gang to the edge of the sunny area. The sun shone on the ground, and the yin qi retreated. The silver-winged demon eagle immediately flew into the sunlight and landed at the edge. The corpse path martial artist chased after them. However, he stopped at the edge of the area covered by yin qi. His eyes revealed a fierce glint as he looked at Yi Xing and Yang Gang on the silver-winged demon eagle. He was filled with unwillingness and anger as he let out a low roar. Yang Gang let out a long sigh and said, "We finally escaped this calamity. This corpse path martial artist really has perseverance. Even now, he still hasn't given up." Yi Xing glanced at the corpse path martial artist and didn't say anything. Instead, he turned to look at a nearby mountain ridge and frowned. Yi Xing said, "There seems to be other martial artists over there." Yi Xing's perception was sharp. He sensed some faintly discernible auras. Yang Gang immediately looked at the small mountain ridge. Yang Gang's perception wasn't as strong as Yi Xing's. He didn't sense any martial artist's aura. He asked, "Is there really someone?" Yi Xing had already scanned the area with his super brain. After confirming that there was someone, he said, "There really is someone. Let's leave this place." Yi Xing was about to let the silver-winged demon eagle fly into the depths of the sunny area when laughter came from behind the mountain ridge. A mere 2-star sage has such sharp perception. Not bad. As the laughter rang out, 2 cultivators leaped up from the back of the mountain ridge and landed on it. The 2 martial artists released their auras. They were both 6-star sages. The 2 6-star sages stood on the left and right like guards. Then, a young martial artist walked out from behind the mountain ridge. Beside him was a black-clothed woman. The young martial artist wore a black robe with dragon patterns. He was the 9th prince of the Azure Dragon Empire, Long Xiao. The black-clothed woman beside him had a palm-sized gap in front of her chest, revealing 2 snow-white hemispheres. She was the Black Widow. Other than the Black Widow, the 9th prince Long Xiao was a 5-star sage. The other 2 martial artists were 6-star sages. This was a very powerful team. Yi Xing and Yang Gang couldn't compete with them. Moreover, Yi Xing vaguely sensed that there seemed to be an even more powerful martial artist hiding nearby. Obviously, someone was secretly protecting Long Xiao. Yi Xing and Yang Gang were surprised. They were also a little depressed. In Wu City, it was fine to meet an expert. However, in the depths of the Sky Corpse mountain range, it was definitely not a good thing to meet a powerful team. The Superbrain's scanning range was limited. The 4 of them were behind the mountain ridge. Yi Xing couldn't penetrate the entire ridge. He only scanned a blurry figure at the edge. He didn't expect there to be a total of 4 people, and they were so powerful. Long Zhao's gaze was arrogant as he looked at Yi Xing and Yang Gang with interest. They were blocking the path of the silver-winged demonic condor to the sunlit area. Yi Xing didn't know what the other party was up to, so he didn't let the silver-winged demonic condor rashly fly over them. Yang Gang bowed to Long Xiao and said, "True Xian region's Heavenly Dipper sect disciple Yang Gang greets His Highness, the 9th prince of the Azure Dragon Empire." Long Xiao smiled faintly. His gaze fell on Yi Xing as he said, "Is the person beside you mute?" Yang Gang tugged at Yi Xing's sleeve and said with quintessential sound transmission, "Don't anger them. Otherwise, we won't have a good ending." Yi Xing smiled faintly and nodded to Long Xiao, saying, "Nice to meet you, young Master Long." Yi Xing knew in his heart that whether there was a good ending or not didn't depend on whether the other party was angry or not. It depended on whether the other party had evil intentions. If Long Xiao didn't have any ideas about the two of them, why would he show up to stop them? Since he had already shown up to stop them, then the result was already destined to be bad. Yi Xing didn't need to bow in front of Long Xiao. The smile on Long Xiao's face froze. Young Master Long? Since childhood, which cultivator didn't respectfully call him His Highness, the Ninth Prince? Today, someone actually called him Young Master Long? Yang Gang was also startled. Yi Xing glanced at him and said, "They don't have good intentions. Even if you kneel in front of them, they will still do whatever they want to do. Later, if they want to attack us, I will immediately take you and escape. They won't be able to catch up." Yang Gang wasn't stupid. He also understood after hearing Yi Xing's words. What Yi Xing said was right. The other party obviously didn't have good intentions in stopping them. In the depths of the Heavenly Corpse mountain range, if the other party didn't have good intentions, begging for mercy would be useless, let alone just bowing his head. Thinking like this, Yang Gang straightened his back a little. Long Xiao looked down at Yi Xing from above and sneered, "I am the 9th prince of the Long Empire. You dare to call me Young Master Long?" Yi Xing looked straight at Long Xiao and said, "What does the 9th prince of the Long Empire have to do with me? I am not a subject of the Long Empire. The world is very big. Is the 9th prince of the Long Empire that great?" Long Xiao's face suddenly became gloomy. However, Yi Xing didn't stop and continued, "If you were a prince of the great Yuan dynasty, I would definitely respectfully call you Your Highness, but you don't deserve it. If I respect you, I will call you Young Master Long. If I don't respect you, you are just someone with the surname Long." Yang Gang looked at Yi Xing in surprise. Although he had straightened his back now, he still didn't dare to talk to Yi Xing like this. He couldn't help but admire Yi Xing's courage. "How dare you, bastard!" The two 6-star sage beside Long Xiao shouted at the same time. One of them continued to shout, "How dare you talk to His Highness the 9th Prince like this? Are you tired of living?" On the side, Black Widow also looked at Yi Xing in surprise. She felt that Yi Xing looked familiar, especially his voice. However, she couldn't recall it at the moment. Long Xiao raised his hand and stopped the two 6-star sage. He said, "I am magnanimous and extraordinary. I will not lower myself to the same level as you ants. Hand over your corpse jades and I will spare your lives." Although the Long Empire was rich, corpse jades were useful to every martial artist. Most martial artists found them and used them for themselves. There were very few circulating on the market. Even though Long Xiao was a prince of the empire, he still lacked corpse jades. Yi Xing heard this and sneered. His foxtail was exposed. "Are there any more monthly tickets?" Chapter 436. Yang Gang's face was also filled with anger at this moment. Their corpse jades were obtained after spending a lot of time, energy, pills, and going through life and death dangers. Now, Long Xiao wanted them to hand over all their corpse jades with just one sentence. Was this still considered broad-minded and extraordinary? Yang Gang said coldly, "Long Xiao, you're a prince of the empire, but you're so narrow-minded. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed for your actions?" Long Xiao's face turned cold as he shouted, "I'm broad-minded and extraordinary. How dare you slander my broad-mindedness?" As a prince, Long Xiao had been educated since he was young that as a prince, he had to be broad-minded and extraordinary in order to be supported by his subjects. The world of martial artists was ruled by absolute force. The Long family could become the royal family of the Blue Dragon Empire because of their strength, not because they were supported by other martial artists. However, after being in a high position, there were no competitors and no pleasure in defeating opponents. Then, the way to obtain pleasure was to be supported by his subjects. As a royal family, the Long family loved to hear martial artists from other forces praising the greatness of the Long family. Therefore, in the Long family, being supported by his subjects was a very happy thing. This was especially true for emperors and princes who pursued this kind of spiritual pleasure. Therefore, in the education they received, how to be supported by their subjects was a very important lesson. To do this, they had to have some qualities, such as broad-mindedness, extraordinary bearing, and so on. These were called the spirit of the royal family and the virtues of the royal family. Only with this kind of spirit and virtue could one be qualified to be a member of the royal family and be supported by the people. However, in reality, there was a more realistic education in their lives. They all knew in their hearts what the Long family relied on to rule the Blue Dragon Empire. The spirit of the royal family and the virtues of the royal family were just a kind of spiritual pursuit. They could not be taken seriously. Only strength mattered. Although Long Xiao always talked about being broad-minded and extraordinary, this was only for his own reputation. He knew his true thoughts very well, and some people with bright eyes also knew very well. After Long Xiao shouted with a cold face, he sighed and waved his hand at Yang Gang and Yi Xing, saying, "Don't worry. If you don't believe that this prince is open-minded, then this prince will show you. If you don't want to hand over the corpse jade, then so be it. You can leave." Long Xiao waved his hand behind Yi Xing and Yang Gang. Behind the two of them was an area shrouded in yin qi. The 5th-level astral realm corpse martial artist was still eyeing covetously. Long Xiao put it nicely. However, what he meant was that if Xiao Chen did not hand over the corpse jade, he should not stay in the sunny area and stay with the corpse Dao cultivators. This corpse Dao martial artist had chased after the two of them the entire way. If Yi Xing and Yang Gang had left the sunlight area, wouldn't he have immediately killed his way over? The viciousness in Long Xiao's heart was evident. In Long Xiao's opinion, Yi Xing and Yang Gang were definitely not a match for a 5th-level astral realm corpse Dao martial artist. After the corpse Dao martial artist killed the two of them, he would send someone to kill the corpse Dao martial artist. The corpse jades and everything on them would naturally belong to Long Xiao. Seeing that Long Xiao had allowed Yi Xing and Yang Gang to leave, the two 6-stars perfected persons said in unison, "Your Highness, the 9th Prince, these two people spoke rudely to Your Highness without any respect. How can Your Highness be so magnanimous and spare them?" Long Xiao's face was full of smiles. These two 6-stars venerable masters were really good at talking. This was the effect he wanted. He listened happily in his heart. Long Xiao waved his hand and said, "This prince is broad-minded and extraordinary. How can I lower myself to their level?" The two 6-stars venerable masters said in unison, "Your Highness is kind." Looking at the other party's performance, Yi Xing was so disgusted that he wanted to vomit. Yang Gang suppressed the anger in his heart and said, "If the 9th prince is really broad-minded and extraordinary, then let us move forward instead of forcing us to fall into the hands of the corpse Dao martial artist." Long Xiao shook his head and sighed. "Ants, always greedy and insatiable. Give an inch and you want a mile." As he spoke, his expression turned solemn as he said coldly, "You only have two choices. Either you hand over the corpse jade, or—" Long Xiao did not say the second choice, but the hand gesture he waved conveyed his meaning. He wanted the two to leave the sunlight area. In his opinion, Yi Xing and Yang Gang had no other choice. If they left the sunlight area, they would definitely die. Thus, they could either hand over the corpse jade and beg him to let them live, or leave and die at the hands of the corpse Dao martial artist. Then he would collect their corpses. Yang Gang sent a voice transmission to Yi Xing. "It looks like I can only use my trump card to destroy this corpse Dao martial artist who is chasing us relentlessly." Yang Gang's meaning was very clear. Of course, it was impossible for them to hand over the corpse jade. They chose to leave. Yang Gang's gaze was like a sword as he stared at Long Xiao and said, "We choose to leave. Long Xiao, you have to keep your word and not make things difficult for us." Long Xiao chuckled and said, "What kind of status does this prince have? Of course, I will keep my word." "Good. Let's go." Yang Gang nodded to Yi Xing. Yi Xing had the silver-winged demonic condor turn around and fly into the area enveloped by yin qi. Corpse Dao martial artists were not afraid of death. Long Xiao and the others were at the side, so they did not scare the corpse Dao martial artist away. When the silver-winged demonic condor flew into the area enveloped by yin qi, The corpse-style martial artist shouted and pounced at the silver-winged demonic condor in the air as fast as lightning. Die! Yang Gang shouted coldly and waved his hand, summoning a short sword. The short sword left his hand and shot toward the corpse-style martial artist, erupting with a terrifying aura of destruction. It was a forbidden weapon. A top spiritual rank superior forbidden weapon was enough to kill a mid-level perfected person. The forbidden weapon short sword burst out with a resplendent light and collided with the corpse-style martial artist. A terrifying force exploded with a loud explosion. The corpse-style martial artist was instantly blown away, and there was a hole between his eyebrows. Clearly, the sword aura from the forbidden weapon short sword had pierced through his brain and killed him. Forbidden weapons were difficult to refine. The higher the level of the forbidden weapon, the rarer it was. This time, Tiangang sect had given Yang Gang a top spiritual rank superior forbidden weapon to protect him when he came to the Sky Corpse mountain range to train. Originally, the two of them had escaped into the sunlight area, and the corpse-style martial artist could not do anything to them. There was no need to use this forbidden weapon to deal with the corpse-style martial artist. However, Long Xiao had forced the two of them out of the sunlight area. Facing the corpse-style martial artist's attack, Yang Gang could only use this forbidden weapon. After the corpse-style martial artist was killed, it was no longer important whether they stayed in the sunlight area or not. The two of them could continue to walk in the Yinqi area and search for corpse jades. However, things were not that simple. Long Xiao's voice came from behind, "Stop!" Yi Xing and Yang Gang turned around and saw that Long Xiao and the two 6 stars perfected person had already flown into the sky. Behind the three of them were flying spiritual weapons. The two 6 stars perfected person's flying spiritual weapons were both spiritual rank superior spiritual rank. Long Xiao's flying spiritual weapon was spiritual rank superior spiritual rank. Yi Xing's heart trembled slightly. Long Xiao also had a superior spiritual rank flying spiritual weapon. The difficulty of escaping had increased, especially since Yi Xing still had to escape with Yang Gang. The hope was even slimmer. Yi Xing's heart immediately surged with a strong killing intent. Long Xiao was too much of a bully. If he forced him into a dead end, then he could only use his trump card and expose all his secrets. Even if Long Xiao had hidden experts protecting him, he had to kill Long Xiao first. Yang Gang stood on the back of the silver-winged demonic condor and glared at Long Xiao. He shouted, "Long Xiao, are you going to be a treacherous, shameless villain?" Long Xiao's face was a little twisted as he shouted, "I gave you a way out. If you obediently handed over the corpse jades, everything would be fine. Isn't that good? But you have to force me. You have to force me. Force me to kill you." When he said the last 4 words, Long Xiao's face had already become cold. There was no longer any struggle in his heart, only killing intent. Haha. At this moment, a loud laughter suddenly came from afar. The laughter was full of ridicule and mockery. Whether it was Yi Xing, Yang Gang, or Long Xiao's group, they were all attracted by the laughter and looked over. They saw a young martial artist in white standing on the peak of a mountain a few miles away. Under the feet of the young man in white was the head of a flood dragon. When everyone looked over, the flood dragon's head was slowly rising, and then half of its body rose from behind the mountain. This was a green flood dragon. The dragon's claws pressed on the peak of the mountain. In the next moment, it grabbed the void and rose into the air, heading over here. This green flood dragon was more than 100 meters long. It walked in the void and it was very visually impactful. The aura of this green flood dragon was very terrifying. It was a high-level 3 demonic beast, equivalent to a high-level astral realm cultivator. It was Yi Xing's first time seeing such a high-level demonic beast, and he was slightly shocked. Beside him, Yang Gang's expression was even more shocked. He muttered, "Possessing a green flood dragon mount. He is the crown prince of the Qinyu Empire, Yu Qinggan. He is the #1 genius of the younger generation in the 10 regions. His destiny is a 2-star green destiny, and he is destined to become a 2-star venerable. He can challenge those of a higher level. Although his cultivation is at the 4th level of the astral realm, he has the combat strength of a 5-star venerable. Moreover, he is only 20 years old this year. His green flood dragon mount is a high-level 3 demonic beast equivalent to an 8-star venerable. It is his guardian. 20 years old, 4th level of the astral realm, unrivaled combat strength of a 5-star venerable, 2-star green destiny, and a high-level 3 demonic beast as a mount. Hearing this, Yi Xing was also secretly shocked. This Yuqinggan was much more powerful than Long Xiao in every aspect. No wonder Long Xiao was only a prince in the Azure Dragon Empire, while Yuqinggan had already confirmed the position of crown prince in the Qingyu Empire. Yuqinggan came over on the green flood dragon. His black hair fluttered as he laughed. The 9th prince of the Azure Dragon Empire, Long Xiao, turns out to be an untrustworthy, treacherous, shameless villain. Long, you are really a laughingstock. Chapter 437. Soon, Yuqinggan rode the green flood dragon and arrived in front of Yi Xing and Yang Gang. Below the two, the silver-winged demon condor was a bit restless. This was the instinctive fear of a low-level beast facing a high-level beast. Yuqinggan was not like Long Xiao, who brought 2 6-stars enlightened masters with him. There should be a master protecting him in the dark. He was traveling alone. Of course, he could not be considered to be traveling alone. His mount, the green flood dragon, was his strongest companion. It was equivalent to a master at the 8th level of the astral realm. This was a terrifying existence, comparable to Master Wuyu. Thank you, Prince Qinggan, for saving us. Yang Gang and Yi Xing cupped their fists and thanked Yuqinggan. However, the two did not let down their guard. They did not know Yuqinggan's character. Yuqinggan scared Long Xiao away, but he could also attack the two. However, just in terms of bearing, Xianxia was much more superior than Long Xiao. Long Xiao kept saying that his bearing was extraordinary, but in reality, it was very ordinary. Xianxia only stood there, but he already had the feeling of a crane standing among chickens. Yi Xing observed Yuqinggan for a while, and his heart relaxed. This kind of person was far from what Long Xiao could compare to. He would not covet their corpse jades. Yuqinggan waved his hand and said, I just don't like people with the surname Long. You don't have to thank me. My name is Yuqinggan. You can call me Brother Yu or Young Master Yu, or just Qinggan. Do not mention the word prince. Outside of the Green Feather region, I am just an ordinary martial artist. There is no difference. Just this awareness alone, no matter if it was in terms of breadth of mind or bearing, Yuqinggan far surpassed Long Xiao by 1,000 miles. In the Blue Dragon Empire, Long Xiao was only a slightly more outstanding prince. In the Blue Dragon Empire, he indeed had the right to be proud. However, outside of the Blue Dragon Empire, who cared if you were a prince? However, he was very proud. It was as if the Blue Dragon Empire ruled the world, and all martial artists were subjects of the Blue Dragon Empire. In front of all martial artists, Long Xiao felt superior. This kind of person was undoubtedly disgusting. On this point, although Yuqinggan was the crown prince of the empire, he was much clearer than Long Xiao, the prince. After leaving one's own influence and territory, one's status was not important. Everyone was just an ordinary martial artist. Otherwise, if there were 36 of them in the upper region of the East Divine Continent, it meant that there were 36 empires. How many crown princes and princes were there? There were so many princes and princes in the empire. Who was more noble than the other? Who was more despicable than the other? When they were not in the territory of their own forces, any noble status was not worth mentioning. Strength was the only thing they could rely on. If Yi Xing and Yang Gang were high-level astral realm cultivators, then what was Long Xiao, a prince, worth? If he had provoked the two of them like before, the two of them would have killed him in a matter of minutes, regardless of whether he was a prince or not. Yang Gang said, Many thanks to young Master Yu. Although young Master Yu did not mean to save us, it is a fact that you have saved our lives. We are very grateful. Yi Xing also nodded. Yuqinggan smiled faintly. Suddenly, the green dragon under his feet turned its head to look in a direction and snorted. The smile on Yuqinggan's face froze. He turned to look in the direction the green dragon was looking at and shouted loudly, Rascal, if you dare to have any ill intentions, I will kill you without mercy. Yi Xing also felt that in that direction, there was an indistinct aura of an expert. Previously, he had also vaguely sensed it. It should be the esteemed lord who was secretly protecting Long Xiao. To say that an esteemed lord was a rascal, only Yu Qinggan had the guts to do so. Because the green dragon under his feet was an expert among the esteemed lords. Only with strength to rely on would he have the guts, and not because of his identity as the crown prince of the Qingyu Empire. If he did not have the green dragon as a mount, if he dared to say such things to an esteemed lord, regardless of whether he was the crown prince of the empire or not, once the esteemed lord appeared, he could easily kill him. As soon as Yu Qinggan spoke, Yi Xing felt that indistinct aura had completely disappeared. It seemed like that person had already retreated. Yu Qinggan said, "You have offended the one surnamed Long, and have already been targeted by his people. If you continue to stay here, once I leave, you will most likely be in danger. Why don't you leave with me? With me here, they will not dare to do anything to you, and will give up on tracking you." Yang Gang and Yi Xing looked at each other, saying, "What do you say?" Secretly, Yang Gang transmitted his voice to Yi Xing, "We have obtained quite a lot of corpse jade, enough to cultivate for a long period of time. Why don't we go back first? Otherwise, if we encounter Long Xiao again, it will be dangerous." Yi Xing nodded, saying, "Let's go back first." The two of them went together with Yu Qinggan, heading towards the outskirts of the Sky Corpse mountain range. Long Xiao originally ordered the esteemed lord who was secretly protecting him to track Yi Xing and Yang Gang. After the two of them separated from Yu Qinggan, he would capture them alive and let him personally end their lives. However, the two of them went together with Yu Qinggan. That esteemed lord could not do anything and could only give up, reporting the matter to Long Xiao. Long Xiao said gloomily, "To actually encounter Yu Qinggan, consider them lucky. Let's forget about this matter. If we have the chance to meet again in the future, we'll take care of them. How do I address you two?" Yu Qinggan stood on the head of the green flood dragon, asking Yi Xing and Yang Gang on the back of the silver-winged demon. "I am Yang Gang, a disciple of the true Xin region's Tiangang sect. I am Yi Xing, the sect master of the true Xin region's Falling Star sect." Yu Qinggan was someone worth befriending, so the two of them did not hide their identities. Yu Qinggan's reaction towards Yang Gang's identity was calm, but towards Yi Xing he was rather surprised. "Sect master? Brother Yi is so young and already a sect master. Looks like you are not an ordinary person." Yi Xing faintly nodded and did not explain. His position as sect master carried the painful past of Thiso. It was better not to mention it. Yang Gang said excitedly, "Yi Xing is of course not an ordinary person. Last year in the true Xin region's Young Hero Assembly, he broke through to the astral realm during the assembly, sweeping his peers and obtaining first place. At that time, my cultivation was at the peak of the third level of the astral realm, and I only obtained third place." Yu Qinggan's face revealed a shocked expression. "Breaking through to the astral realm at the end of the year. It's only the 6th month now, and you're already a 2-star enlightened master. Brother Ye's cultivation speed is so fast. I thought that no one in the nearby 10 regions could compare to me for advancing a realm in half a year at the initial stage of the astral realm. Now it seems that I was a bit arrogant. Brother Ye's cultivation speed is not inferior to mine at all. I wonder what Brother Ye's destiny is?" Yi Xing said, "My heavenly fate is erratic, sometimes high and sometimes low. But generally speaking, as my cultivation increases, my heavenly fate also increases. The highest I've ever had was a 4-star yellow fate." Before leaving the Falling Star Kingdom, Yi Xing's knowledge was limited, and he thought that destiny was fixed and unchanging. But as his knowledge broadened, he gradually knew that destiny had its own special circumstances. Some martial artists' destinies were not stable, sometimes high and sometimes low. Moreover, as their cultivation increases, their destiny will also become higher. This way, it could explain the constant changes in his destiny. Yu Qinggan said, "Brother Ye's ancestor must have had an extraordinary expert. Destiny is erratic, sometimes high and sometimes low, but the overall trend is higher. This is a change brought about by the gradual awakening of the bloodline in the body. Only the descendants of experts would have this kind of special situation appear. Yi Xing said in surprise, "My clan is just an ordinary clan that couldn't be more ordinary. How could my ancestor have produced an extraordinary expert?" Yi Xing had only heard of the situation of destiny being erratic, but he did not know that this involved bloodline inheritance. On this point, Yu Qinggan's knowledge was clearly broader than Yi Xing's. Yu Qinggan said, "Brother Yi is wrong. How long is the history of the human race? In the ancient times, how many experts appeared? But their clans and descendants were not always strong and prosperous. The vast majority were wiped out in the long river of time. But their bloodline was not necessarily cut off. Their direct descendants could inherit the bloodline inheritance. Daughters who were married off could also pass their bloodline to other clans. As time passed, these bloodlines became thinner and thinner. In the end, some descendants could not even sense the astrology and become ordinary mortals. And some descendants could barely sense the astrology and become ordinary martial artists. But that did not mean that there were no experts in their ancestors. If among these descendants with thin bloodlines, once the situation of bloodline awakening occurs, the destiny will show signs of instability. As the martial artist's cultivation increases, the degree of bloodline awakening increases, and the destiny will gradually increase. Brother Yi, you are in such a situation. You are already a 2-star sage at such a young age. This shows that there is still a lot of room for improvement. Now you are a 4-star yellow fate. In the future, you may be a 7-star yellow fate, a 9-star yellow fate, or even a venerable destiny. In the future, Brother Ye's achievements may not be below mine. Yu Qinggan was very modest. If it was an ordinary person, his own destiny was as high as a 2-star green fate. He was destined to become a 2-star venerable. How could he believe that the erratic destiny of others would surpass him? Yi Xing pretended to be surprised as he looked at Yu Qinggan, and said, "There is actually such a saying. Hearing young Master Yu say this, I feel that the future is bright and full of hope." Yi Xing was clear about his own situation. It was not some bloodline awakening, but the ability to devour other people's destiny. Therefore, Yi Xing was very clear that his future was not unstable, but certain. As long as he did not fall, his future would definitely be glorious. Moreover, this kind of glory was far from what a 2-star green fate's future could compare to. It was the glory of standing at the peak of the star continent and becoming a star sea realm king. Yang Gang was also stunned by Yi Xing's words. The way he looked at Yi Xing changed greatly and thought, so his bloodline awakening is showing signs of atavism. His destiny is not fixed, and there is room for improvement. Could it be that he really has the possibility of becoming a venerable in the future? That will become the legend of the true Xian region. Yu Qinggan laughed after he finished speaking and said, "But this hope is very slim. There are 2 conditions that need to be met. First, there must be an expert from your ancestors, and his achievement must be at least a middle-level venerable. Second, you must be able to perfectly awaken the bloodline left behind by your ancestors and reach the martial arts level of your ancestors in the future. The possibility of meeting both conditions is very small. Don't hold too much hope so as to avoid disappointment in the future." Chapter 438.3 days later, the 3 of them returned to the vicinity of Wu City. Wu City was the territory of the Blue Dragon Empire. The relationship between the Blue Dragon Empire and the Blue Dragon Empire was not friendly, so Yu Qinggan did not plan to go to Wu City. As for Yi Xing and Yang Gang, they were preparing to return to the true Xian domain and had no plans to go to Wu City. Near Wu City, Yu Qinggan bid farewell to Yi Xing and Yang Gang and parted ways. After parting ways with Yu Qinggan, Yi Xing said to Yang Gang, "Brother Yang, you go back first. I have decided not to go back and continue to train in the Sky Corpse mountain range." Yang Gang was surprised and said, "How can that be? We have offended Long Xiao. If you meet him, it will be dangerous. Moreover, we have already obtained a lot of corpse jades. The corpse jades contain the aura of death, and it takes a long time to absorb one. The corpse jades we have are enough for us to cultivate for a long time. Yixing took off the mask on his face, revealing his true face, and said, "This way, Long Shao won't recognize me. Yang Gang, you don't have to say anything, I will be careful." Yixing and Yang Gang being together was actually very inconvenient. Just like the corpse martial artist they met before, with Yang Gang nearby, Yixing did not dare to reveal his trump card. Therefore, at most, he was evenly matched with the corpse martial artist and was at a disadvantage. If Yixing unleashed his full strength, he could definitely kill a 5th-level Astral Realm Corpse Dao martial artist. An 8th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jade had a great effect on Yang Gang's cultivation. It was enough for Yang Gang to cultivate for a long time. Yixing prepared to give the 8th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jade to Yang Gang, and then continue to train in the Sky Corpse Mountain Range to obtain more Corpse Jades. He could refine the aura of death in the Corpse Jade and quickly absorb the energy. With enough Corpse Jades, he could break through to the 3rd level of the Star Realm in one go. Then he could continue to search for Corpse Jades. As long as there were enough Corpse Jades, Yixing could continue to refine and absorb them to break through to the 4th level of the Star Realm. After that, Yixing would spend more time cultivating his martial arts and raise his battle prowess to the highest possible state. He believed that he would be able to obtain a good ranking in the East Divine Continent Junior Genius competition at the end of the year. Yixing's goal was not the top 100 that He Biao had mentioned, but the number 1 of the younger generation in the East Divine Continent. Since Yixing had made up his mind, Yang Gang naturally could not persuade him otherwise. He could only ride the silver-winged devil condor back to the true Xian domain. The two of them divided the Corpse Jades. The 8th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades went to Yang Gang, the 3 7th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades went to Yixing, and the rest were divided equally. Whenever there was an odd number, Yixing would give an extra piece to Yang Gang. Yixing was refining the death aura in the Corpse Jades because it was related to the secret of his Starfire Seed. The higher Yixing's cultivation was, the more he knew how precious the Starfire Seed was. He did not dare to expose this fact, so he could not help Yang Gang refine the death aura in the Corpse Jades. Moreover, if he helped Yang Gang refine the death aura in the Corpse Jades, then Yang Gang would be able to absorb the Corpse Jades quickly and would definitely continue to search for Corpse Jades with Yixing. In this way, the Corpse Jades they found would be divided equally between the two of them, and Yixing's harvest would be halved. In this way, it would be difficult to achieve his goal of breaking through to the 4th level of the Star Realm this year. Once one's cultivation reached the 4th level of the Star Realm, not to mention the number 1 in the East Divine Continent Junior Genius competition, even entering the top 100 would not be an easy task. The difference of one level was the difference of tens or hundreds of ranks. Therefore, Yixing had to act alone. As for Yang Gang, when he returned to the true Xian domain, he would refine the 8th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades and cultivate. There was no difference whether he refined the death aura or not. After parting with Yang Gang, Yixing went to the Wu City and found an inn to stay in. In the room of the inn, Yixing set up a shielding array to prevent others from peeping. Then he used the Starfire Seed to refine the death aura in the Corpse Jades. Yixing absorbed the 7th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades to cultivate. He absorbed one a day, and his cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. 3 days later, Yixing completely absorbed the 3 7th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades. The effect was no less than absorbing an 8th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jade. His cultivation had stabilized to the peak of the 2nd level of the Star Realm. If there are 3 more 7th-grade Spirit Grade Corpse Jades, my cultivation will definitely be able to break through to the 3rd level of the Star Realm and become a 3-star spiritual master. Yixing thought in his heart. He was full of anticipation for the upcoming training in the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range. The next day, Yixing paid for his room and left the inn. He was ready to set off for the depths of the Heavenly Corpse Mountain Range to continue searching for Corpse Jades. He was more free to move alone than when he was with Yang Gang. Moreover, he always felt a little awkward wearing a mask, so it was better to show his original mask to others. Yixing had just left the inn and turned a corner when he suddenly stopped. He looked at a cultivator not far in front of him, and two sharp lights suddenly shot out from his eyes. Dozens of meters in front of Yixing, the fire cloud sect's Yun Tianhao was slowly walking forward. Beside Yun Tianhao were two other fire cloud sect's elders. One was a 6-star spiritual master, while the other was a 5-star spiritual master. Yun Tianhao suddenly felt a sharp gaze coming from ahead. He immediately shot over and met Yixing's eyes. It was Yixing. Yun Tianhao's eyes narrowed and two sharp lights also shot out from them. Due to Wu Yu's warning, Yun Tianhao had lost a lot of faith in the true Xin region. He hated Yixing to the core. However, due to Wu Yu's threat, Yun Tianhao didn't dare to openly deal with Yixing. Therefore, he could only pay a sum of money and introduce the Earth Fiend sect to the Qingyu Empire to hire the 7 Kill Alliance to assassinate Yixing. Yixing was also very angry with Yun Tianhao. In the 9 Heaven City, Yixing had already sworn that he wouldn't be human if he didn't kill Yun Tianhao. This time, the two of them coincidentally bumped into each other in Wu City. Sure enough, enemies meet on a narrow road. When enemies meet, their eyes are exceptionally red. Yun Tianhao's sharp gaze swept past Yixing with disdain and the corners of his mouth curled up. At the same time, he thought to himself, so this kid came to the Sky Corpse mountain range. No wonder there's no news of him. No one knows where he is. I'll pass the news to the 7 Kill Alliance. The Sky Corpse mountain range will be this kid's burial ground. The 7 Kill Alliance would only give up after failing 3 times to assassinate their target. Then, they would return the reward to the client. They had only assassinated Yixing once and were planning to assassinate him a second time. They had been searching for Yixing's whereabouts all this time. Naturally, they didn't tell the client about their first failure. Therefore, neither the Earth Fiend sect nor Yun Tianhao knew that the 7 Kill Alliance had already tried to assassinate Yixing once. They had sent a 5-star Venerable One and 2 4-star Venerable Ones, but they had failed. Yixing looked at Yun Tianhao with murderous intent and thought to himself, I didn't expect to meet you in the Black City. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. Since the heavens sent you to me, then the Heavenly Corpse mountain range will be your burial ground. End of 5th update. Every day, I stay up until the wee hours of the morning and am half dead tired. However, the monthly votes are very low and the results are barely satisfactory. Right now, I can't get onto the Xuanhuan monthly votes ranking. My only hope is to get onto the Xuanhuan monthly votes ranking and gain some subscriptions. However, I'm still 200 votes away from getting onto the ranking. Brothers and sisters who like the Arrow God, please cast a monthly vote in support. Chocolate is very grateful. I bow and thank all the brothers and sisters who voted. Thank you. You're tuning in to the Wandering Hero YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.